Welcome, one and all, to the KidCast. This is a very special episode of the KidCast, as we are finishing off our trilogy of episodes about Star Wars trilogies. This week we're going to focus on the sequels, 7, 8, and 9, as well as get into some Knights of the Old Republic news, and as always, a little bit of Pokey Corner. But first, let's get in touch. Welcome, everybody, to, like I said before, a very special episode of the KidCast. We are going over maybe the most controversial Star Wars movies made to date. The sequels, 7, 8, and 9. But first, as always, we're going to introduce ourselves. As per usual, to my virtual left, David Shadid. Say hello to the people, Dave.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Great to be here.
As always, to my virtual right, Austin, Mr. Wang Tang Swanee. Say hello to the people, Swanee.
You dang right, Mr. Wang Tang. What up, people?
And now, specially guest starring Peoria's very own and Austin's brother, Alex motherfucking Swanson.
What's
hello to
up,
people.
y'all? Go Illini, baby.
Go Illini indeed.
Yeah! Throwback to episode 1 or 2, I don't remember.
Back to episode 1. Like I said, we've got a very special podcast for you. As per usual, we're going to start with our news coverage. David, if you want to take that first bit of news and read it off to the people, and we'll chat about it. Go for it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, relevant to the current issue of the debate, I guess, or not the current issue, but the current thing we're talking about today. Rumor has it that some game studio, I actually don't think they know which one yet, correct, is developing a Knights of the Old Republic video game, a new one. For those who don't know or who weren't born in the late 90s, Knights of the Old Republic was like
Sorry.
the coolest video game while we were kids. Like, it was just insanely fun. That's exciting for most people, and especially Star Wars fans are probably super pumped about this, because like that's just the coolest stuff in the world. Super excited. Let me know your thoughts, guys.
And it's an MMO, correct?
I actually have no idea.
I have not heard anything on this new Knights of the Old Republic game.
I think it. I think I saw it as MMO.
So they're going to come out with another MMO after Star Wars The Old Republic? I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm excited.
I'm kind of excited for a single-player game.
I would like a...
Well, you got Fallen Order 2 coming out, and then probably more. So, it'll be fun.
Well, yeah, but I think what people have wanted to see from Knights of the Old Republic is just a new single-player standalone game. Because we had KOTOR 1, and then KOTOR 2. Yep. And then EA and BioWare came out with Star Wars The Old Republic, which is their big Star Wars MMO service game that has been live for a long time. I think over a decade. But people have been clamoring for a new, just purely Knights of the Old Republic 3 single-player role-playing game. So, and just as Dave said, it's not being developed by EA or BioWare. So this is a separate studio. It's a separate developer. It's a separate producer.
Pretty stoked about that.
So I'm excited for these details to come out. So I don't know. Could be really good.
I'm pulling a Dave here with tangents, but have they announced any kind of open world Star Wars game?
The Ubisoft game is open world.
Oh, okay, it is. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, there is one in development. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I really think I hope that the Star Wars games can start getting the diversity that they deserve, and frankly the fans deserve, because for too long we've just had the same old, first person shooters and not enough diversity in our Star Wars games. And I think a fun turn-based single-player role-playing game like KOTOR 3 would be great. I also think an open-world game from Ubisoft would be awesome, in the vein of Assassin's Creed or something else open world, though I hope it doesn't play like Assassin's Creed because I don't like those games that much anymore. But I digress. Very exciting news. We will make sure to keep everyone updated on what's going on with the new Knights of the Old Republic game, and because we'll be following it very closely, I'm sure, all of us.
Did anyone
I will say KOTOR 1 and
that
2
game on the
master
computer?
the turn-based.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did, Alex. I love KOTOR 1. It's one of my favorite games ever made.
Game's fun.
It's probably the best Star Wars game ever made.
Ho, ho, ho.
Debatable, but
All right, that's for another podcast. Christ.
That's a different.
what's
that's a
You
different.
can't drop that kind of bombshell on me.
What's your
Well,
your number one, Swanee?
Let's not worry about that this episode. We got a lot to talk about.
It's a future big thing for sure. Secondly, Swanee, why don't you tell us what's going on next weekend and who your pick's going to be for it?
So we got the big game. It is a
Football game.
I'm trying to think of another way to say it, but I can't because I'm not creative.
It's a mega.
It's
a mega.
Mega divot plate. Mega divot plate.
It's a mega deep plate.
Mega deep plate. Deep dish plate. Yeah.
Mega pot.
Are we
Mega
allowed to say
pot.
the team names?
Mega pot.
I think so. I don't
Tampa
think
Bay
I think we just can't
Buccaneers
say.
versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I got the Kansas City Chiefs going all the way. Dave,
Hi, Dave. Who you got shaking your head over
Dude,
there?
I think Tom Brady's gonna win another
He's
Super
gonna
Bowl.
pull out one more.
I think that dude is going to own that game. I think their defense is gonna shockingly stop City pretty well. I think they're gonna win the game by not a heavily margin, but it's gonna be Tampa Bay's gonna win that game. It's gonna be
I just want a good game, to be honest.
I do too. I have no personal favorites. I think Tampa Bay they just look cleaner last game for some reason, in my opinion. Minus Tom Brady's 3 picks.
Yeah.
They just look overall. They look like a great team.
I just want something fun to watch,
I'm excited.
What about you over there, Alex? Who you got?
I have bet against Tom Brady on FanDuel app in case anyone out there wants to use a sportsbook. FanDuel is great. I bet against Tom Brady for 3 straight weeks
He's
now.
not our
Wild
advertiser.
card,
He's
divisional,
not advertised.
and
FanDuel sponsor us.
Oh, they don't. So fuck FanDuel. They suck.
Well, hang on. They might sponsor us in the future. FanDuel, we're indifferent at this point.
Yeah,
and,
you're okay.
You're right.
You're there.
For
your
now.
service. Yeah, I've bet against Tom Brady for 3 straight weeks, including the NFC Championship against the most, in my opinion, my most hated team probably of all time, the Green Bay Packers. I bet on the Green Bay Packers, and in typical Chicago sports fashion, they lost to personally spite me. So I'm done betting against Tom Brady. That's it. I'm done betting against him. I will bet on the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
I like that take, Alex. But I got to go with Patrick Mahomes. He's the best player in football right now. He may be the best quarterback ever when all is said and done. And he's going against the current GOAT, at least how I see it.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
It's going to be a slugfest for sure. An offensive powerhouse. And it's probably going to be one of the more exciting in a long time.
Let's hope the frickin' Buccaneers receivers can catch
big
some balls.
games. May have to bleep out.
Hit that over. Hit that
over.
Why,
yeah, no
you're making me go back and edit what now?
I may have said the mega divot plate, but the other word.
You said the mega divot plate?
The mega pot?
The rugby game.
Damn, we had one word we couldn't say this podcast. And
the Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl.
If we're not allowed to say, just in the off chance we're not allowed to say the team names, it's officially the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Kansas City Chiefs. Just in case we're not allowed to say the name.
Oh,
that's cool.
If I have to bleep that,
Dude,
I'm just gonna get Alex saying that and put it over.
Dude, go Buccaneers, man.
Can I make that my ringtone? Specifically the Kansas City Chiefs.
That is so funny.
Oh.
Okay, so yes, we have the big game. Is that next Sunday? Monday?
No, it's not next. Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it?
I think it is next
2
weekend.
weeks from now, right?
No, because this week is like the skip week, and next week it is.
Right. Okay, so
Right,
2
so
Sundays from now.
First weekend in February.
No. Oh, technically, yes. 2 Sundays from now.
Because
Yeah,
we
'cause
still have
today's
we still have a
Friday.
Sunday upcoming. Gotcha.
So yeah, let us know your thoughts on who you think's going to win the big game, the rugby game with pads.
On the Mega Divot Bowl.
The Mega Divot Bowl. We're very
Mega
excited.
pot.
The Mega Divot glass thingy.
Dude, just
feel
say
like
Megapod. Why is no one saying Megapod but me?
Megapod. Okay.
Well, because
Megapod.
we're not
Well,
talking about
Dave,
the lottery.
we know how you feel about pots. And
Whoa.
That's an inside joke.
Take it easy.
Ew.
take it easy. Say, take it easy.
Take it easy.
Chill out, you narc.
All right, and then finally, going off of the Mega Divot Bowl pot thingy, we have Pokey Corner with Dan. Once again.
Pokey Corner.
Woo! Pokey Corner. It's the corner.
Gotta catch him all.
This week was a quiet week in terms of collecting. I didn't have a chance to go out to my local suburbs as I had hoped. We had to record the podcast a day earlier than we usually do, so I was planning on doing it today. Whatever. I do have some news. I officially signed up on the official Pokemon trading card game website, and your boy is now an official Pokemon master.
Whoa.
Oh, shit.
Let me see the diploma.
Yeah.
Still in the printer.
Slow claps. That's cool.
So,
Are you Ash? You're basically Ash.
I'm mad.
I'm Mac. You know, Ash's cooler, sexier older brother.
Dan is Ash. Dan is Ash because he's Ash at video games. Oh.
Hey, whoa! Whoa, effing blow, my guy. I'm not Ash at video games. I'm above Ash.
Above Ash.
But yeah, I played a little bit, kind of getting the feel for it. I'd never played the actual trading card version of Pokemon. I'd only played the video games. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it gives even more incentive to collecting the cards. It really helps soften the blow when I don't get that super nice rare card in a pack, because it's just more cards that I can add to my digital deck. So, I'm very excited. I'll let you guys know when I start doing some competitive play.
You got a big deck, Dan?
Oh yeah, it's huge.
You got a big deck?
You know.
Cool.
10 cards.
Oh, okay.
Who's to say? No, it's very exciting. I'm very excited to start this journey. If you had told me at this time last year, Dan, you're gonna be the future best Pokemon trading card game player in the world, I would have called you crazy.
Cheers. This is cheers.
And now I would have
called
said
you
thank you.
Cheers to the new Pokemon Master.
Cheers to me, Mac.
Cheers your journey.
Yeah.
Here. All right. I think that's enough of the news, because we've got quite the segment coming up for you. But as usual, first, we got to hear a quick word from our sponsors. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you've all been waiting for. We thought that it was going to be last week, but it turns out the fight of the century is taking place right now. Talking about the Star Wars sequels. Like I said earlier, maybe the most controversial Star Wars movies, all 3 of them, ever made, ever put to film. And we're going to chat about them. We're going to give our thoughts, our likes, our dislikes, what we think worked, what we know didn't work. Rose and Finn.
Fair.
And then I think at the end, we are going to add them to our overall Star Wars lists. And we'll give our overall thoughts on the trilogy as a whole. What we liked, what we didn't like, and all of that. So I think to start, we should start with our esteemed guest, Alex Swanson. Alex, what did you think about The Force Awakens?
So of the 3, I think Force Awakens, and I think we all agree on this, is by far and away the best of the 3.
I don't think Dan agrees.
kind of agreed?
Keep going. I agree with you.
Okay. I apologize. I thought we were in agreement there.
Nope.
So yeah, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, Force Awakens is the best of the 3. I think we talked about this a little bit before. Just a little background to the listeners. Force Awakens sets up the trilogy pretty damn well. I mean, it sets up a lot of plot lines. There's a lot of questions about who is Rey that are very intriguing coming out of this movie. And it's fast paced. They bring in some of the old characters, which we love to see, and they actually have legit roles in the movie. So yeah, just overall, just very solid movie. I think the best out of three, sets up the trilogy very well.
Dave,
Fair.
what are your thoughts? I'm curious because we really haven't talked about this movie much.
We don't discuss this movie much. It was from the new 3, episode 8 was the highly kind of like debated movie from all of us as a squad.
Right.
I don't hate episode 7.
Oh,
I walked out of the theater when I originally watched it, and I was kind of like, this is just A New Hope, which is also just Return of the Jedi, which is also just this movie the same. And as much as I still kind of believe that, I have a softer heart in terms of Star Wars at this point, from, again, as you gather from the first 2 episodes that we recorded this podcast. It's fun. It's a fun
Yeah.
movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good. It's a fun movie.
Attaboy.
I didn't hate the things that I used to kind of hate about it, and we'll get into the other ones kind of in a minute. But it was like, again, like, you sit down and watch it after, again, back-to-back weeks of watching the first 2 trilogies. And you get really excited
right.
about the whole plot, like everything, even from Phantom Menace to now. And you're just like in it. You're like, wow, this, like, okay, like I get the whole gist of this all. I know why it should be exciting, and it is. And it was kind of like, I didn't hate the movie. Like, as much as there's like bad stuff about it, like I could critique it all day if I wanted to. It's fun. I like it.
Solid.
All right, Swanee, what'd you think?
I'm kind of in agreement with Alex and Dave here. I think it was a really good movie at setting the stage for a new era. Of course, it has problems, but I remember after the movie came out in the period between The Last Jedi and when it released, the amount of like theories we sent each other and like how much we talked about it was some of the most exciting Star Wars that we've had in a
Very
long
true.
time.
That's a fact.
And it did so many things, like who's Rey? Is Finn a Force user? Because they hinted so many times, like when the stormtrooper wipes his hand on his helmet, and you hear that music, and he kind of snaps out of it. It's kind of like a Force kind of sound, like he's snapping into something. And the way Kylo looks at him, like right before he leaves, it's like a little nod to like, does he have the Force? Like, So I thought, I
Right.
don't know, and even Finn holding that saber, he looked so dope. Finn with that blue saber, God, he looked good.
He does look good. He looks really good.
Looks great.
So, Rey's Force Vision scene was super cool. I think it was because it's that power is based off of what Anakin had. So we're kind of seeing deeper of what Anakin's visions kind of looked like. So that was kind of cool for me as an Anakin fan. And why they freaked him out so much, and because it freaked her out too. And then having Ewan come in and kind of whisper that one line to her, I was
so
like,
good.
oh my god, we got Ewan back. He's gonna be her grandpa or something. So many theories of that. So I think Force Awakens did a great job at setting things up. What I kind of disagree with is that there's basically a new empire already. So Anakin's sacrifice really didn't do much. That was kind of my biggest gripe. That they, like Dave said, they kind of rehashed New Hope a little bit. But overall, I thought it was a fun movie and set up a ton of cool things.
Yeah. Contrary to what you guys may have thought, I love this movie.
Wow.
I think it's fantastic.
Wow.
It is probably the most fun I've had watching a Star Wars movie in the theaters. And I think I've seen every movie since Revenge of the Sith in theaters. I didn't see Revenge in theaters.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know. Well, I was 8 at the time, and my family wasn't big on
school
Star
early
Wars
for it,
yet.
so.
Right. Whatever. Not all of us have cool older brothers. Shouts out to Alex.
You damn straight.
Yeah, damn straight. I remember even this first movie trailer, like the amount of excitement and nostalgia and hype that I got just seeing the trailer was amazing. I saw this movie in theaters 8 times. I mean, I loved this movie. I rewatched it this week. I
That's
still
funny.
love this movie. I think that this is Harrison Ford's best performance since Empire in any movie he's been in,
He crushed it.
not just Star Wars.
He does
crushes it.
He crushes it.
Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Force Awakens. Han Solo dies in this movie.
Damn.
What?
And Harrison
Bro.
Ford makes that death. Hey, come on! I said spoiler. Harrison Ford makes that death scene feel earned, and he makes it feel. It's got some weight, some heft. Like this is. It feels like. I don't know. It just feels like how Star Wars is supposed to feel.
I remember in that theater when Han Solo died, we were all there together, and I was like trying to like hide my tears. I was like, oh my god, like this is actually really sad.
Yes,
It was an emotional
was
scene.
extremely heart-wrenching.
Alicia Swanson was bawling her eyes out.
She cried enough tears to flood a small village. I mean, it was a lot.
I mean, it's Han Solo though.
That's
Can you
great.
blame her? He's, you know,
No, you can't.
she's
So good.
he's been like that guy that's got swag and cool, and he's pretty good looking for like 30 plus years for her. Like, and then some punk kid stabs him in the chest.
Dude.
That's all I was gonna say. But go ahead, Dave.
What were you gonna say, Dave?
I'm just saying, Han Solo, even in Episode 7, he looks good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
he's
Harrison
keeping
Ford
it tight.
looks
You know?
good.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the guy still got it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Whatever
yeah.
he's got, it's it.
Like
you know?
he's tight.
I mean, he may have invented it.
I think you're right.
In all honesty. But yeah,
think you're right.
I love this movie. Now, obviously, it's
yeah.
got some flaws.
Yeah.
And we should talk about a few of those. My biggest flaw is, and it's gonna come up a lot in us talking about these three movies. Some of the comedy feels forced.
No, I disagree.
Not as much in this movie.
I disagree completely. I think the
Well, that's
comedy
fine.
is very fluid in this movie.
No, I think 80% of it works, and the last 20% does not.
What parts? Can I have an example?
Basically, after the "that's not how the Force works" joke is made, everything after that sucks.
There was very limited comedy after that.
That was
And
like
then-
that was like right at the end of the movie.
Well, all right, kid, you know, there's
So
like
90.
30 minutes of movie
Give me
left.
90.
and I liked that line. I
85.
thought that was cool.
No, I like the "that's not how the Force works" line, but you really notice it.
Oh, I know you're
it's-
talking about the Finn and Phasma scene.
The Finn and Phasma scene, it goes on too long,
Yeah, it was meh.
which is
Right.
another critique of this movie, is that Phasma's built up as this badass character.
He set her up to be a badass character and last.
Well,
okay,
but,
I won't
you know,
say it. I won't say
You
it.
can't say that in this movie. It's, you know, this is what happened in this movie.
But you can't agree he set her up. Didn't say she
Yeah,
died.
but you know what? He didn't set her up though, because he gave her like 3 scenes. The first
but he
scene was
introduced the character.
right, but
Yeah, but the whole joke was to be like, oh, I'm gonna put her in the trash compactor and she's gonna.
you're cutting out.
Dave is
so
cutting out
much,
really
Dave.
bad.
Am I?
Yeah,
Ah,
you
shoot.
are. The whole
Let me try to not do that.
No,
The
you're
whole-
fine. So
point of Phasma was to be this intimidating, like she's got different armor, she's a badass like leader of these stormtroopers, and she's introduced on Jakku, doesn't say anything, and then she tells Finn to go to weapons
no,
inspection.
she says, "Sir, the villagers," and then she says, "Fire." So you're wrong. She said something.
Oh, sorry, she said a completely innocuous, unimportant line.
2 lines.
Sorry, 2 lines, and then after that, she's not seen again until the end when Han and Finn put her in a trash compactor. It's not great. It's not great setup.
Fair.
And like you can say maybe she
I
had
agree.
bigger plans in the future, but we're not talking about the future. We're talking about this movie,
Yep.
and she's not good in this movie. And
Alright.
it's no fault of Gwendolyn Christie. She's a great actress. Brienne of Tarth for the uninitiated.
She is great.
But yeah, that's another critique. They
Uh,
built her up to be something real cool.
I have a kind of big
and she just
critique with this
wasn't in
movie.
What is it?
Where are the balls is the New Republic? Did nothing get fixed? Are we just like, did Darth Vader fix nothing? Are we just still?
Well, they
in
got-
hell?
That's what I.
Got
That's what
blown
I
up,
kind of
right?
had. That's what, yeah.
I mean, that's
We
kind
see
of
him
that's kind
for-
of the problem,
We see them for 5 seconds before they get blown up. That's all we see of the
Right.
New Republic. That's,
which is kind of
so are the
the
worlds
narrative crutch of
better
this
off?
movie.
Are they still kind of? Well, we don't know. We know what they're like in the Mandalorian. Like they're kind of outlawless, like lawless now. But this is like what almost 30 years in the New Republic or something like that.
Right.
Is there a new order? Are the planets happier, or is it just the same crap? So I would have liked to see a bigger picture, more big picture thing.
Yeah, you're right. They didn't really give you backstory on the whole political spectrum of it all.
Just made it seem like it was still all the same crap. We're just dominated by
just to build on that real quick, Austin. I think one of the best scenes I like from A New Hope, which again I'm sure we have our critiques of that movie too, but A New Hope, I thought one of the scenes that really makes that movie stand out is right in the beginning after Vader boards the ship that Leia's on. He's walking through the hallways and he has his little assistant Imperial guy tell him that what they're doing is illegal and that they're going to be reprimanded in the Senate. And it gives you some context to the
That's
overall
cool.
galaxy. Like, oh, there's a Senate that they have to be worried about. And then Vader says, yeah, basically, like, don't worry about it. The Emperor is going to take care of it.
That's so
And that
cool.
kind of built around, and it builds the universe a little bit. Like, okay, wait a minute, he's got a backdoor to this Emperor guy, who is this Emperor guy that has some leverage over the Senate. And he talks about right after he shoves the Imperial guy out of there, he says, by the way, the Emperor is going to dissolve the Senate. And that's when you're like, oh shit, like the universe is about to get into a dictator. And like that's the kind of context I feel like Force Awakens needed, and it just never had those kind of scenes.
Yeah.
Or the scene when the
Right.
governors are talking to Vader in the boardroom, and he chokes that guy out. Like that gives you some context. Like, okay, there's some governors who control various regions of that's the hierarchy of how these planets are
They
controlled.
think the Force is like some witchcraft religion that's dead.
Yep,
Yeah.
and I think
Interesting.
so. That context just was missing just a little bit. I think from
I
Force Awakens.
completely agree.
It doesn't tie in. It doesn't tie in the prequels. Essentially, is what you're saying.
Well, and
As much
what
as
it
it
really
should've.
doesn't do is explain what the Resistance and the New Republic like.
Why
How
are they
are
not
they
working
connected?
together? Yeah, why are they not working
Right.
together? To
Like
destroy
they
the First Order?
say, the traitors in the Resistance secretly supported by the New Republic. Well, it's like, why are they secretly supported?
Why does it have to be secret?
Right.
Why is the New Republic not staunchly against the First Order? What is the First Order? How did the First Order come about? Like, and again, we can't fault this movie completely because it just introduces a lot of these things, and you
But
would have hoped that the sequels would have built off of them.
It's
But
also
in
the
this
subtle
movie, we don't
things.
get the answers we need.
It's the subtle things, like Alex said. Just give me a few lines of dialogue about what's happening in the world. Set the scene.
Right.
Give me more exposition, because I feel like we kind of just exposition should be a little longer of the climb on the hill, And I don't know, it felt kind of quick.
Interesting.
But again,
yeah.
I still like the movie a lot.
I agree.
Oh, you know what? I
still
think
have
the
a great time
movie.
watching it.
I think the movie is exactly what we needed as Star Wars fans in 2015.
Yeah.
After it had been 10 years since Revenge of the Sith came out, and like them or hate them, the prequels were divisive. They turned a lot of fans off to Star Wars. And what we really needed was kind of like a reboot, not a restart. And this was kind of the perfect movie. It satiated old fans because it gave them kind of the gritty, the way Star Wars is supposed to look. It's not super new, but it also kept the new fans in because it gave us these fun stories, and we've got fun new characters, and it's not just, a lot of people say it's plagiarism. Like Jake said, it's his 10th least favorite movie.
Yeah, that was wild.
It's number 10 on his list, which I get it. It's very similar to New Hope, but there are a lot of key differences in this movie. I think this movie is a lot more character driven than anyone gives it credit for.
Oh yeah.
Like the relationship between Finn and Rey, Finn and Han, Han and Rey, and then Kylo and Rey, and Kylo and Snoke, and
Well,
even
you're forgetting
Hux
one more.
and Snoke and Hux and Kylo.
You're forgetting one more that I watched out for because you led me onto this. Is Finn and Poe, dude? They are fucking awesome.
Oh, dude, yeah, like,
Dude.
and I was
You're
gonna
so
mention
right.
them in the next movie, but Finn and Poe, I'll say it. Well, I'll save it for the next two
No, well,
movies.
they
but
have a
I
really good
love their
relationship in this one,
dynamic in
too.
this movie.
Yeah.
They literally have what, like 18 minutes total of screen time, maybe?
Yeah.
And they have some of the best chemistry in the entirety of Star Wars.
I
Yeah,
could
you're
agree.
so
Like,
right.
oh my God. John Boyega and Oscar Isaac, shouts out. You guys, you killed it.
And talk about best in Star Wars. I think Alex can attest. Force Awakens has some of the best X-wing scenes I have ever seen.
Oh, when Poe is cooking fools on
Murks
Maz
like
Kanata's
16
planet.
total enemies in like 30 seconds.
I mean,
Yeah,
just
that
And then
scene, that shot was really, really cool.
the cockpit view camera work that they do when they
At the
attack
end.
my god,
Yeah,
my
dude.
god.
Oh,
okay. And one more thing I wanted to kind of get you guys' thoughts on. When this movie came out, there was a lot of flack against Kylo. You know, a lot of people called him a Vader like copycat. And then a lot of people said he's worse than Anakin. He's such a crybaby.
Dude.
So Dave, what do you think? I want to hear your thoughts.
yeah.
Dude,
I know what I think.
I used to buy into the kind of, not the hate, I guess the hate with Kylo Ren and like how sad boy he is. But I just think they did such a better job of making it work than they did with Anakin. I don't know. There's probably a multitude of reasons why, but like one of the feelings that I have, and again, maybe it's just because the context of the movie is a little bit different, but like Anakin was like hyped up as the chosen one. Everyone talked about that. Everyone always like referenced him as like the guy that's gonna fix everything. And when he's all like sad boy and like doesn't feel validated, it kind of just feels forced because I'm like, dude, everyone's validating you as the chosen one. Why are you being so sad all the time? But and again, that you can disagree with that all you want, and that's fine. But like that's just my point of view, is like Kylo is not seen as like the fixer of all things. He's just seen as like this guy that is related to this evil dude that gets really drawn into the dark side because of course he did. And I kind of buy it more than I do with any other villain in this franchise. To where like when I watched 3 of these movies back to back to back, I like really felt that I was like, dude, Kylo's sick.
Yeah.
Like we shouldn't think of him
100%.
as like the iconic villain of the franchise. You see him almost more in like a human context of, damn, this kid's just like really trying to figure himself out a little bit, but like he just fucks up every time he tries.
Much
And you're
like
just
his
like, damn, I
grandfather.
kind of feel for you a little bit. Not feel for you in so much as like empathize, but I'm just like, I kind of believe your story more so than I believe some other stories.
And the whole
And
time
I just think he
I'm
does a
watching,
great job of it.
The whole time I'm watching him, I'm just like imagining him on the light side. I'm like, he reminds me of Anakin, dude. He just does.
Yeah. He's fun, dude.
Yeah.
That movie, he's really fun. And like we'll get into it later, but like he's really good in the last one.
I was gonna say, I think a common theme in all of these movies is that Kylo / Ben Solo and just Adam Driver as an actor, he is like the backbone of these movies.
I agree.
Adam Driver is so talented and so good in these movies. It's crazy.
Yep.
It is crazy. Like and like he doesn't get as much shine in this one as he will in the next 2. But even in this one, his scene with Han at the end, when before he kills him, like, oh my god, he makes you believe it. Like, I'm rooting for Kylo every time to just give the lightsaber to Han. It's so good. It's just
for sure.
Hey, Dan, 2 quick thoughts for you. Number 1, have you not seen Han Solo in the original Blade Runner? I mean, he's pretty damn good in that movie.
It's the voiceover for the original Blade Runner that kills it. Because Harrison hated doing that voiceover. He said it.
Second thought,
he is good.
On the comedy aspect you mentioned, you have to admit though, the comedy in Force Awakens is light years ahead of where the prequels were. I mean, light years.
120%.
Yes, 100%.
When I said the comedy, I mean, I can think of like 3 scenes mainly where I hate it. It's mostly Finn, and it's not due to John Boyega. I think it's just bad writing. Because I think he was told make this funny, and he was like, "I'll do my best."
Yeah.
It's the scene with Phasma. There's the scene where he's like, "I'm with the Resistance." Oh yeah, I'm with the Resistance. And it's like, kind of all right.
You don't like that scene?
I think it's fine. It's just not funny like it's supposed to be to me.
It's
you know,
charming. It's charming. It's not supposed
no,
to.
and I agree. I 100%. And that's another thing. I think the last
Charming.
real main thing we
Very
need to talk
charming.
about. This is Finn's movie over everybody else's.
Force Awakens.
This is the movie where John Boyega and Finn shine, and it makes you love Finn, and we'll get into it in the next two, but it's partly what makes the next two movies a little bit disappointing is that this really felt like it could have been Finn's franchise as much as anybody else's. What do you guys think about that?
I think that yes, I don't want to get political about this, but I don't know if I want to say it aloud. I feel like I get in trouble for it. I just feel like Rey is kind of a Mary Sue.
No, see, I'd push back on that, and you explain why you think, and I'll give a rebuttal.
I don't mean it completely because describing her lineage and all that helps. She is, if it goes with the Last Jedi logic, we'll get there. But I think Poe and Rey could have shared the limelight a little more, and Kylo
and Rey.
Rey, Finn, and Kylo could have been like a three-star started thing. And Alicia Swanson is here.
Woo!
Alicia!
Hey, what's up, Ma?
Hey, I'm here.
This
on the
podcast just
Honorary
got a
Birthday
whole
Boys
lot
podcast.
better.
Now
Another
this
guest star.
is
Happy
podcasting.
birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Swan.
birthday
Oh,
yeah.
we
to
haven't
our one
said
and
it
only
yet.
Austin Swanson.
Thank
We
you.
haven't said it yet. Oh man.
I was gonna save it for the end, but
I
that's
love
okay.
you.
Thank you. Love you too.
Love you guys too.
Love you too, Mama Swan.
Love you too,
I'm
Mama
saying
Swan.
goodbye to him 'cause we're leaving in the
Go grab a
morning.
glass of wine, Ma. Get lit.
Al-
lit.
Alex told you to grab
Love
a glass
you.
of wine.
Miss you.
I've already had 3 glasses, Alex.
That's
Hell
okay.
yeah.
I've been up since 4:30 this morning.
Speaking of Star Wars, I can't feel my tongue. I can't feel my tongue on.
Are you doing Jar Jar?
You gotta do it. You gotta do it for us.
Oh, I love you so much.
Love you too. Safe travels tomorrow.
Thanks, you too. Let me know.
Bye, my love.
Will do. I will.
But yeah, I guess I understand where you're coming from, Swanee, when you say I understand it, I just don't agree with it. I think that Rey, I think they do enough in this movie to explain why she's not a Mary Sue. You know, she's been stranded on this planet, Jakku, for 10 plus years, at least a decade because of her age. And she's been scrounging, scavenging. She's a fiend with that staff thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's
Yeah.
obviously strong in the Force.
Sorry, I think I misspoke. I love Rey. She's one of my favorite characters. I think it's just because I am thinking in the mind of a corporation and that they just wanted a woman forefront to kind of start to be more inclusive. And I'm just saying I wish they could have had a three-headed kind of cast. But I think Rey is
Well, and
dope.
I
think
like
she
to
is very
think
capable.
that was the plan, right?
Yes, I do
in
too.
this movie, because Finn felt as much like a main character as Rey and Kylo, more so even than Kylo for sure.
Yeah.
You know, because Finn is at the forefront of every important thing that happens in this movie.
Well, and Alex gave me a background book on Rey for one of my birthday a few years ago, and it explains everything she went through, and she is pretty dope. So I think I misspoke. I'm gonna take it back.
That's okay. You know,
I
we
got
all
one-
say
I
things
got one
that we don't
question
mean
for you,
sometimes.
boys. I've heard this from a friend of mine. Would you guys have liked, or if you wouldn't have liked, why would you have not liked this? But one of my friends said I think he thinks he would have liked Kylo Ren character better if he had kept his mask on until the last movie, including the scenes where he goes through the emotional struggles, but seeing the character Kylo go through those struggles with the mask on, never seeing Adam Driver's face until the rise. He said he would have liked that arc a lot better
That's really interesting.
because he would have
It
it would have been like seeing Darth Vader go through emotional struggles and then finally reveal himself in the rise. But also you can't you're not you still miss the human connection because you can't see the face, and it would have added a lot of intrigue to who this character is and lots of other reasons. But just want to get your boys' thoughts on that.
Dan looks like he has a thought.
I see where he's coming from, and I definitely think Adam Driver could have pulled it off because you can kind of feel it when he's in the mask in this movie and later movies. But I think we miss out on the great interactions between him and Rey and him and Han in this movie.
Yeah.
And then I think we miss out
True.
on what makes him different than Vader is that, I mean, he is openly conflicted, and it shows in this movie because he won't keep the mask on.
Mm-hmm. And everyone talks about it.
Right. And I think if he keeps the mask on, it's an interesting, thought, and it would have been cool if they did it, but I think taking the mask off humanizes him and helps me empathize with him even more.
I think, I agree with you. I think if they leave the mask on, the relationship between him and Rey does not build as well into the next two movies than it does right now. Because, like, again, I think their relationship is really, really well done.
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool thing because she goes head to head with him right away. And like that again is as much of it's a show as a sign of character for Rey. It's a show as a sign. It's like a sign of character for Kylo, because as badass as he looks, and as badass as he talks and fights, that dude is conflicted in so many ways that make him like less than people probably expected him to be in the movie. Because I remember going into that movie, I was like, "Ooh, Kylo Ren is gonna be like an ultra badass, violent like villain." And what you find at like right at the beginning, as soon as like he tries to put his like he like influences her with the Force and she combats it, it's just like we're not on the same scale as maybe Anakin was or something. You know what I mean? And it kind of drops you down to a point where you're like, oh, it's not always the same scale of characters. These are like much more human characters as less and maybe less as talent wise too. Because like again, like when you look at Kylo Ren, you're like, that's an Anakin character, but like Anakin doesn't let people mess with him the way like Rey does, but also Anakin never messed with Rey, so we don't know that. But like I feel like it just makes it super believable, and like Kylo is so much of a cooler character because we know as soon as he tries to exert his influence against the light, essentially, he gets pushed back immediately.
Yes.
And like that's an interesting kind of turn that Star Wars doesn't really do, because Star Wars very much likes to push the rebellion and like the light to like the bitter edge, and then finally through some redeeming thing they get away with it. But like this one was like Rey was like, no, I got you, like I am at your level a little bit,
So
and like you aren't gonna fuck with me.
I want to look at this at more of like a studio approach and why Disney did it this way. I think if they wanted to create a villain who is scary and on par with Vader and a terror to the galaxy, they leave the mask on. But they took the mask off to make him relatable, to make you see he's going through something, to make you see he's conflicted. If he leaves that mask on, he is pure dark side. But the fact that he keeps taking it off shows that he's not fully succumbed to it yet. And it should, like you have both said, it shows his humanity. So I think that's why they didn't really leave it on, because if you do, the dude's a villain through and through. But they're trying to show that he's like Vader, has a little bit left in him, a little light left in him. So also go Illini.
Go Illini.
Go Illini,
Let's
baby.
go, baby.
Big dub.
Where do they win?
That was a big dub. Man,
Illini just took down what, number 7 Iowa?
number
Oh,
7.
hell yeah, cool.
Iowa.
Can't wait for my drink of the week later.
So yeah, that's all I was gonna say. Is I think if they wanted to take the approach of a scary villain, leave the mask on. They want a human with emotions, take it off.
That's a really cool thought, though, of like what would Kylo be like if he did have.
It is a really good question.
It's really cool because the prequels help. The prequels help Vader's personality in the sense like when you hear him talk to Luke in like 4, 5, and 6, you understand a little bit more of what he says than you do if you just watch it cold. And like that's a really interesting.
Well, then put a blanket on, Dave.
Wait, what? Oh, okay. No, I think knowing who the person inside the mask is like a really important tool in terms of understanding them as a character.
Well, Alex, you asked the question. Do you have an opinion?
I personally would have liked to see it. I think you guys all have valid points I think it would have been cool to see Kylo as more of that just ultra, no light, just all dark. This guy's just bad through and through. I would have liked to see that for 2
On par
movies
with
and
Vader
then the
almost.
redemption come through instead of 2 movies where it's like, "Oh, he's kind of dark, he's kinda light, he's conflicted." I personally would have liked saying he's dark but again, that would have played more into the Vader original, trilogy kinda aspect where Vader is through and through a villain until the last movie. But, if that's just personal opinion, I would have liked to see it.
I think it'd be fun to watch either way. I
Yeah,
think.
I do too.
And yeah, I think that's a valid
like
opinion
good
to have.
pros and cons for both sides, I guess. Yeah.
I don't think
I
there's
think
a
the
right.
way. Go ahead, Swanee. Sorry.
Just say I don't think there's a right answer here. So that's all I was gonna say.
Right.
Yeah, I think the way that the trilogy ended up, it works better for him to not be in the mask the whole
Agreed.
time. But again, we will get into how we think the trilogy should have ended up and everything.
We're gearing
Does
up,
anybody have
aren't we?
anything big to talk about before we put this on our lists?
No.
When you put it on, you can give a little explanation why. But unless we need to talk about anything else huge, I'll start. This movie comes in at number 5 for me. Top five. Just a refresher: 1 is Revenge, 2 is Empire, 3 is New Hope, 4 is TBD, and 5 is Force Awakens. I love this movie.
4
It
is
brought me
TBD. Is that what you just said?
Force
Yikes.
TBD, to be determined.
Yikes.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, it could be. Okay, I know what it is.
To
Never
be
mind.
determined.
Oh,
There-
it could be
there's,
right.
there's
It could be other
4
things. Never
movies
mind,
it could
sorry.
be.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry.
4
sorry.
movies it could
Don't
be.
scare me like
I
that.
know
while
you're
we're
worried.
I was going insane. I was like, damn, that's a cool move. But we're good.
No,
back to
it's
it.
5 for me. I think it's great. It gives me all the feeling of the original trilogy, while also I think it keeps everything fresh and gives new characters that I immediately fall in love with and or hate in a good way, like Kylo. And I think it was the perfect starting point for a new trilogy. So, top
Okay.
5.
Nice.
Dave, what'd you have?
Okay. I got
Frog.
mine. This was the list that I made last year. Or not last year. Sorry. This is the list I made last week. So this is
Right.
like, again, I've been updating them slightly as I go along through these because again, I
Fair.
take your points and I actually put them into account. And at the moment, and again, I think this might change a little bit. I got mine at 4.
Oh, wow.
I got Force
Oh,
Awakens at
it's
4.
higher than I thought.
Again, I think after our next kind of 2 discussions, that could change a little bit, but it's going to be up there because again, like I agree with what you guys say. I think it's a really good, fun reintroduction to the world. You know what I mean, to the universe of Star Wars. And I think it's, while it has like, structural and like narrative issues, it's just a fun movie. And if you like stop like getting in your head about it, it's just like it's a really entertaining movie. You get to like the characters. I think I liked Rey a lot more the second time around than the first, in my opinion. Because I was kind of with Swanee to where I was like, oh, they're just making her like way more powerful than any normal scavenger person should be. But I'm kind of like, I kind of watched it again. I was like, I don't agree with that anymore. I kind of think she's dope, and like, I get why she's the way that she is, and it makes sense to me. So I got this at 4 because again, I think it's just a fun movie that is done really well, and like, it just makes you feel good when you watch it. You're like, damn, I'm in this world. It's like similar to how I feel about Mandalorian a little bit. You're just like in it a little, like more so than I felt back in the day. It's cool.
Also, someone is frogging. I don't know who.
That's not me.
I lost my list, to be honest. I thought I saved the Word doc. I know it was. I have to go back and
You have
look.
to go back in.
I'll reevaluate while we're talking next episode. I'll take a second. I had it at 5 or 6, I believe. I agree with both of you. It just felt like a Star Wars movie and an introduction to a whole new world that had me just as excited as I was in 2005 about the Star Wars universe. And introducing me to new characters, all of whom I love, all of whom felt very relatable, and all of whose storylines I was very excited to see going forward. So it's just a movie you can kind of just put on and just enjoy, and that's why I have it kind of ranked pretty high. So that's my ranking.
Cool.
Alex, what'd you have?
So are we counting non-trilogy movies in this ranking, or is this only
Yes,
trilogy?
This is all 11 movies are up for grabs here.
This would
So
be
Rogue
number 4
One and
then.
Solo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so my list would go Rogue One as number 1, which we can debate that all day, but that's by far the best Star Wars movie. I will fucking fight anybody that says it's not.
Oh
Revenge of the Sith.
man, you're gonna hate where I put it on my list.
Dude,
Rogue
I
One is
love
number
that
1.
opinion.
New Hope and Empire is back to back 2 and 3, just nostalgia, and they're just great movies.
Does it matter which
And then
goes first, or is it interchangeable?
I would go New Hope first because that's the first Star Wars movie I've seen, and just watching that
respect
bad over and over and over again. Just
I think we all had it in our top 4s.
Dude,
and then
Yeah, it's number 3.
that movie fascinates
Very good.
me.
Yep.
I don't know why. Me and Swanee talked about it. That movie, like A New Hope, fascinates me. I think it's so cool.
Alex, I will say save Last Jedi and Rise for when we do them, but
Yeah,
you
so
can
just-
give the rest of them if you want.
Yeah. Maybe just give where Force Awakens is, if you have that.
Force is number 4.
Oh,
Number
perfect.
4. Oh, perfect.
Yep. So
All
number
right.
4.
Well, we're gonna have. Okay, hang on. Now I got it. Where the fuck is Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah, dude, come on.
That better be 5.
You want to keep going?
No.
Now I do.
We'll have
Now
them
I
finish
do.
after Rise.
How many
We'll
movies
have
are
you
there? There's
finished after
11?
Rise.
There's 11.
There's 11.
So Revenge is 12 then. Sorry. Just kidding.
Yo, eat my.
I was gonna say I disown you as a brother if that's a fact.
Wait. I want to
Alright.
know.
No,
I want a brief general opinion of Alex for the prequel trilogy.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
General consensus. What's your general consensus?
2-minute
about
clock
the whole
starts
thing?
now.
I'll keep it pretty brief, or as brief as I can. I think the trilogy gets more hate than it deserves. Episode 2 by far is, I think, the worst Star Wars movie in any of the trilogies.
I agree.
And this might be the fact that I watched this as, I was a preteen when coming out of the prequel. So like this was just prime sci-fi. I'm in love with whatever you're going to put on the screen of a Star Wars kind of nostalgia, right? But I mean, episode 1 I thought there were some great goddamn scenes in that movie. Like the pod racing is so, like, even to this day, it's so goddamn cool. I fucking love pod racing.
It's working.
And episode 3, it's working. And episode 3 is my number 5 movie. It's a top 5 Star Wars
Okay,
movie. It's a
I'll
very,
take it. Top
very good
5.
movie.
That's top 5.
So I just summarize that up, Dave. Prequels I thought got more hate than it deserved, but I think a lot of it came from the fact episode 2 was just really
Trash.
bad. Episode 1 was not that bad, and episode 3 was a damn good movie.
That's kind of like what we said, basically, right?
I think we came we to a consensus last time we talked about it that movie was made for children, and so it makes sense that like the children that were around at that time, like again, that would have been Dan and Austin and myself, pending me having older brothers that really did not like it, to where I was very much like in that grouping of people that was just like, oh, they're stupid because like everyone that I know and respect thinks they're stupid. But like I really like 3. Changed my opinion like heavily about 3 over the course of like kind of reintroducing myself to this. But like definitely older people don't like it as much. And I just noticed that from people because like it was marketed towards children. It was like very much more of a children's film than the originals were.
Right. Well, and the
that's
old
just
people are
interesting,
wrong,
you know what I mean? I don't know.
and that's fine. And they definitely have an opinion about this next film. Boys, this is
Hell yeah.
This is gonna be fun.
Oof.
I'm telling you right now. We're
Speaking
talking
of
about
frogs,
the
I
Last
need to take some
Jedi.
frogs right now and some deep breaths.
Some deep breaths.
Mute my
Get
mic
'em all
because I need to
out.
breathe. I need to breathe.
Let's talk about probably the movie that divided Star Wars fans the most upon release.
Absolutely.
I think it still has the biggest gap between critic score and audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's either that or Rise, but critics love this movie. The audience hated this movie. We're talking about The Last Jedi, and I'm going to start because I'm going to give a little background on this film. We all saw this film together, correct?
Yeah.
Yes,
saw
we did.
all 3 together, didn't we?
Yeah.
I didn't see Force Awakens with you guys. I wasn't there.
Mm.
I was somewhere else. But yeah, we saw this film together, and oh man,
It was a
personally,
doozy.
I fucking hated this movie when
I came out speechless. I was like, all right, we're done. That was a movie.
I thought this was the worst Star Wars movie ever made. I did not watch this movie again for a whole year after it released. Whole year.
And he saw Force Awakens 8 times.
8 times. I did not go see this movie a second time. Oh man, I hated this movie. And then Rise of Skywalker was coming out. So I said, you know what? I gotta watch it again. And when I watched it again, I thought, the movie's not that bad. It's got some good things in it.
For the podcast listeners, I am shaking my head right now.
It's still, at the time, I said, it's still bad, but there's some things I like. And then I rewatched it again this week. Yesterday, to be exact. Holy shit, I think I like this movie a lot. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
There are bad things for sure. And
bad things for sure.
We should get into those, but
we'll get into them.
Everyone else, give your little backstory about this movie, because I think this is going to be the one we really dig deep into. So, Alex, you go first on this one. What did you think when you first saw it, and then what did you think rewatching it?
Yep, that's a good place to start. I do want to preface this with saying, we're obviously going to get into some arguments here, right, Dan and Dave? And I think it's pretty clear battle lines drawn. It's me and Austin.
Dave actually crossed over to our side a little bit, but
we might have a traitor on our hands.
Anyways, go ahead.
However,
we'll see.
However, I do want to say this, Dave, or Dan, and Dave, if you're on the other side of this. The line where it says, "Don't take this personally," or "I'm not trying to be a dick," or something along those lines. I want you guys to take everything I say personally. I am trying to be a dick. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I mean every word I'm going to say during this argument.
Before you go, let me just say, I am so excited that you specifically are on this podcast, this specific episode, because we've done this before, but now it's going to be recorded, and I'm so ready to talk about this.
Oh,
I'm pretty excited for it.
I'm not strapped in, man.
All right, Alex, go ahead.
So I'm gonna start off.
Hold on,
I think you set it up well. First reactions and then the rewatches. I think that's the appropriate way to approach this.
Good place.
Gut reaction was, gut reaction first watch. I agree 100%. It was. I walked out of the theater pretty disgusted. What the hell just happened? We had such a good setup. Utter disappointment. I mean, I think that's the best way to put it. Rewatches. I have picked out some things I do like about this movie, which I think I will find some common ground with you, Dan. But those are very few. On my rewatches, I think I find myself getting more and more disgusted on a lot of this movie, for various reasons, which I'm sure we'll get into. But that's kind of been my progression through this movie. Was utter disgust, rewatches. Yeah, a couple things I do like about it, and then the things I don't like about it. Wow, I really don't like this.
Okay, fair enough.
Is it my turn?
Dave, you can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then we'll hit.
I want Swanee to end it, kind of. I want to get the whole shebang at the end here, because I agree. I'm literally like exactly like Dan, but the opposite.
But the opposite.
What?
Not even a little bit like me.
Well, we are polar
David
opposite.
and his analogies,
So,
man.
I understand what you're saying.
Dan, he's right to
you
your
go
left.
ahead and explain it. Yeah.
Okay.
You go ahead.
So
ahead and explain it.
I watched this the other night. And again, I've never watched these movies, like, for one, in order, and two, like, in the frequency that I've watched them all together. I've never done it in my life. And so when you do that, you start to buy into the storylines of the past movies, and you really get into the whole narrative, which again I now know is how Austin and Dan felt, and Swan and Alex felt probably when Force Awakens came out. Is they were like, I know the prequel super well. I know the original trilogy super well. I am invested in that storyline, and like, let's get into it. Let's go. Which is why Force Awakens is so fun for me.
It's a really good point.
And I walked out of The Last Jedi when it came out in 2017 or whatever it was. And I was like, you know what? That was a really good shake up to the franchise. Because me personally at the time was like very much just like, we get it. The bad guys can blow up planets. They spend years doing it to force the rebellion and the resistance into almost utter disarray. But at the end of the day, they just figure out and pull something out of their ass to just stop this planet killing weapon from planet killing them, and they move on to the next fight. That's how I used to picture those movies. And it to be fair, like that's still how it is, and I'm not wrong in that regard. Even until episode 9, I'm not wrong in that regard. Like, this movie is called Star Wars, but this literally should just be called Planet Killing Wars. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally the only thing that the Empire and the First Order can do. I digress. But this movie, like, again, once you get invested in that whole storyline, this movie just like really does not deliver on that storyline. And at the same time, even if they offer a different perspective and a different way of thinking about the franchise, it still just like gives you 45 to an hour of just Finn and Rose off on their own, accomplishing literally nothing. Literally nothing. They leave a planet to not find the guy that they were looking for, to find somebody else that ends up fucking everything up anyway. And they accomplish nothing. And when I watched that, I'm like, I liked Finn in episode 7. He does nothing this movie, and at the same time of doing nothing, makes everything worse. And I'm just like, like that's so annoying. But you can even move past that to then get into like the Luke Skywalker stuff, which I still personally like. I still really like Luke's storyline. That is the saving grace of this movie, is the scenes with Luke and Rey, and especially the scene with Luke and Yoda. I still flip out when I watch that. That is one of my favorite scenes in the whole franchise. And I know Swanee hates me. He's looking at me right now like, you motherfucker. I love that
No,
scene.
actually, I think you're wrong. I'll say later.
It still makes me tear up. I again, this movie I still hold in a decently high regard, but like way less than I used to in terms of like its structure and like its narrative. But like some of the really good stuff is really good.
Yeah.
But like Swanee, like Alex said, like we don't need to see Leia die in the vacuum of space. There's other ways for her to show that she's force prominent.
All right,
we don't need her to die.
We'll get into that. We're gonna get into the nitty gritty. Let's hear what Swanee has to say.
Yeah,
because there are like 5 or 6 key things that I want to discuss and have all of our thoughts on, and we'll try and keep it as brief as possible. But I want to hear what Swanee has to say, his personal background with this movie.
So this is initial reaction, and then review.
And then on the rewatch, what'd you think?
Okay. Yeah. Premiere night, super excited. You know, I coordinated the whole thing, got everybody their tickets. Love going to the movies with my bros. We got in the theater, and you know, in line, me and D and like me and JT are discussing theories or what's going to happen. You know, is Obi-Wan going to show up? Is Finn are they going to highlight that he has force powers? Are we going to maybe see a Hayden Force Ghost at the end? All this kind of stuff. Getting super pumped for the movie, and then we go in, and I'm just kind of sitting there confused the whole movie, like where is all this stuff that I was super hyped for? Why is Finn this weird side character that's not really this quest just for Guillermo del Toro's character to say that both sides? What? Sorry.
Benicio.
What I say? Did I say Guillermo? Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, the director.
Benicio. That was my bad. Sorry. For Benicio del Toro's character, just to say that both sides buy from rich people. That was the whole point of their trip, was for that one line. It's like, why did they do this in the first place? And then the movie keeps going, and Luke doesn't even show up. He's just a Force ghost thing. And then he looks in the sunset. Cool scene, I guess. But I want like I wanted in that sky shot to have like Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin just standing in the clouds or something. Just a little thing. They don't have to say anything. But Luke had this established relationship with his father, and now he just never appears to him. Anyways, that's a problem with Rise 2. I'll get into it.
Fair.
And when I got out of the theater, I was just kind of baffled. I didn't really know what to say to you guys. I was like, yeah, it was a movie. You know, it was cinema, I guess. Some beautiful shots, and it was really good looking, but
cinematography is really good.
I'll admit
we did record a podcast after we saw this movie.
We did.
3 of us.
Oh, we did.
So,
That's right.
I'm just saying this is my initial reaction at the theater.
Whoa.
At the theater, I wanted to find a reason to love this movie, or to even just like it, and I struggled really hard. I was like, I went into like a deep Star Wars depression. I was like, this is where we are now. Raise no one. Like this all my guessing, all my theories, all these videos I watched, all these articles I read. Ryan Johnson was just like, nah. So then I just kind of threw this movie in it's shit trash bin, just like Luke tossed the frickin' saber over his shoulder because it meant nothing to him apparently. So
exactly everything that you just said was wrong. Everything you just said was wrong.
It's amazing. Everything you just said was completely wrong. Yeah, sorry. Call back to the movie. Go ahead.
But I just disagree with the fact that he threw it away because he didn't care about it. That's exactly the
opposite. All right, we'll get there. That's one of the things.
Sorry, I apologize.
Upon reviewing, I kind of wanted to go in, and I wanted to, like Force Awakens put me in a good mood for viewing today because I watched it all today during my B-day. I was like, I'm not going to be a sourpuss about this today. I'm just going to sit here and enjoy what I watch. And God, it was hard to enjoy what I was watching. Again, parts, I was like, oh, this is all right. But then there's so many things. I won't get into the nitty gritty, I guess, because we're not doing that yet. But there's so many things that pull me out of the movie that don't allow me to enjoy the good parts. I can't engross myself into what's happening on screen because shitty things keep pulling my Star Wars fandom self away. And I can just tell the movie is directed by someone who doesn't have a deep love for Star Wars like I do. And it takes me out of the movie. So upon rewatch, I found some things I like. I mean, I'm not going to be just a negative Nancy. There are a few good things in the movie. But overall, God, it is hard for me to put that on my screen.
Austin, I appreciate you bringing up the Star Wars depression because that was real after this movie.
I was in a Star Wars depression.
Oh, it was real. I didn't watch a Star Wars movie for a whole year.
I couldn't even watch Revenge, dude. I couldn't.
Right way to put it.
None of this means nothing anymore because of this new storyline.
I remember I went and saw Solo and I shit on it. And now it's, you'll see where it eventually lies in my rankings, but like and it's probably why Solo didn't perform well at the box office,
which is
because of this movie.
Because it is a solid movie,
right?
Dude, you're gonna be surprised about my number because again, I haven't watched that movie since I watched it in theaters.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
maybe one more time, and so I'm gonna have a very different opinion, probably what my list has, which is exciting, kind of.
Yeah.
So, my last thought. Sorry.
No, you're good.
No, you're good. I appreciate your point of view. I really like it.
I think. And I know I should give this movie more credit, but it was like a bad breakup for me. Like it just hurts to go back to. It brings up that pain that I had, that depression I had after watching in the theaters. So it's hard to kind of put myself in a place where I can enjoy it again. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
So let's go through it. And we're gonna hit on. I think what we should do.
Should we just kind of follow the plot and kind of talk about what happens?
Yeah, we can do that because I took literally 3 pages of notes when I was watching this movie.
I have a lot. And it's all plot followed, so
we'll try and keep it as streamlined as possible. But like we said, this is gonna be a long episode because this movie time. And the next one we got
just gonna be
right, wrong, maybe might be
my first note.
Meh.
Yeah, my first note was we needed a bigger layoff between movies. it's jarring.
We had the
2
same
years later
first note.
to jump.
Yeah.
Right. It's really jarring to jump right back in time period wise.
Literally
Right
0
into
seconds have passed since the last movie.
That's
Right,
fair.
and yet somehow everyone looks completely fucking different.
Kylo's got a new haircut.
Kylo looks different. Fucking Leia's got a new hairdo. Poe looks different. I mean, Rey and Luke look the same, but whatever. So that was like my big like, really could have used like a year or two off.
And also in the beginning.
And like I get why they did it narratively, but because you had to have Rey and Luke, but you could have jumped in the middle of that, or I don't know, you could have done something. Time cuts.
Shouldn't these guys
Who knows?
be exhausted because they just took down a freaking planet?
Right.
And they had
like
leaving the planet, they had like 7 fighters left, and now they have 50. Like,
right.
And now they have A-wings, and they have bombers, and they have. I'm like, why didn't you use this on Starkiller? They
and this didn't
fancy bombers that they didn't use on Starkiller.
And blowing up Starkiller base didn't affect the First Order at all.
No.
Like they literally seem to have gotten stronger.
That's a good point. They were like,
Dreadnought.
"Oh, we'll bring out the Dreadnought." Yeah, sorry.
That has
like,
almost
we'll
the
just
same
bring this one out.
capability.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's just, yeah, that's a whole Star Wars issue though. That's not just this movie, but like it really, you're pretty right.
To go along with the ships thing, like, I get why they used this new bomber to set up the storyline for Rose's sister. But like, what the crap are these bombers? Where are the Y-wings?
No, and it's like, who cares about these people?
No one. We have no emotional connection to these people.
See, this is where we're gonna have a first disagreement.
Don't even do
I think that first bombing scene is really well done.
I
really like
it's well done, minus the fact that, like, again, they constantly like do this where they up the stakes so far that you're just like, I don't believe it. Like they didn't need her to fall down the thing and not be able to get the remote detonator device.
She watches the remote go past.
Yeah, the arm thing, I'm just like, that's so unnecessary in terms of
she has to go all the way this way, and she's already seen the remote go past her. There's no way she catches that bitch.
And it literally lasts like a minute.
I thought it was really well.
And you're like, whoa, that whole slow-mo scene lasted like a minute.
It was a little too long.
Ryan Johnson,
not needed.
Ryan Johnson loves for some reason to make it seem like the Resistance has like 2 people left. Then all of a sudden they got like 500.
Yep.
I'm like, what? Yeah. Is the Resistance powerful, or is it just a bunch of scrappy guys? Like,
yeah, he made the Resistance seem like it was 500 people tops, and it's like,
that's what they
500
and then
people.
3 times in the movie they lost like 300 people. 3 times.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know about the number situation, but like they definitely seem like they're very like on the edge of their extinction.
But then they don't. Then they come with all these people out of nowhere. I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a fair.
I don't know. It was tough. And talking about that scene, I really hate what they do to Hux right at the opening of the movie. They really make him seem like a bitch. Oh, just a punk.
I think it was funny though.
David, I don't think it's funny. Humor. God bless it.
It is,
dude.
And that's the problem. It's just not good.
No, dude, I think that works so well in the Star Wars universe. I think.
See, and I like this movie, and I think it doesn't, because in Force Awakens, he's like this Hitler character.
Hux is like Nazi speech.
He's giving these speeches. He's on the same level as Kylo Ren.
So sick.
And he's a fucking badass like leader. Like you're like in the first movie, you're like, oh, this dude is like Tarkin. Like he's Vader. He's Kylo's Tarkin.
Can he hear me?
And then it's like in this one, it's like, oh, he's just a fucking
he's just
goofball.
buying time.
I thought it was funny. I laughed at that scene. I didn't hate on that scene one bit when I rewatched it.
What else do I have? I said the bombing sequence is done well. You guys said you didn't like it. Agreed, disagree. I thought Finn waking up was really funny.
I think it needed all that suspense. Sorry.
No, Finn scene where he gets out of the bed. That's funny. That comedy worked.
That's fine.
Oh, dude, Poe and BB-8's dialogue is so great.
The only reason I was fine with that is because it gave me more Finn and Poe.
Yeah, he was like Finn naked bags.
That comedy felt like Force Awakens.
No, that felt. I mean, I laughed at that shit.
That's what I'm saying. It felt like Force Awakens comedy.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were bad mouthing it.
No,
I
thought it was okay.
Yeah, I'm trying not to go through every single one of my notes, but
no, let's do it. I'm in.
Yeah,
let's go.
I don't love the design of Snoke. I think in Force Awakens, he's great.
Oh, okay.
He's shrouded.
Okay. Yeah.
He's got like this black cloak thing on.
Yeah.
And he's like, I feel like he's
And
just
he's,
like in a cave
Uber
somewhere.
big. I'm like, all right.
Right. And then they bring him in here, and he's like
scrawny
some
little
king.
bitch.
He's like some king in a gold robe, and it's like, really?
Yeah.
Like, this is what we want from our big bad of the trilogy?
I'm glad you brought that up.
I guess
Yeah, it
not.
just felt like another
But
emperor.
I didn't like it.
I don't know.
Like, they could have
Fair
done
point.
something, like, it could have been way cooler. Like, have him be, like, on some far-off planet where he, like, just crouches in a cave and he's, like, really in tune with the Force. Not a fucking, like, King Midas type of guy who loves gold and rich shit.
Great point.
I hated that.
Proud of you for that.
I didn't like that.
Fair point.
One thing about Snoke too, before you get off of him.
Yeah, go for it.
In the opening scenes, when you're first meeting Snoke, how cool would it have been, similar to what they did with Vader and A New Hope, to see him kill somebody right off the bat? Just be like, just murder somebody. Like, you know how
Right.
Vader just chokes that guy out in like the fourth scene of the movie New Hope, and you're like, holy shit, this guy like will kill anybody. Like, I need to see Snoke like do some badassery, for lack of a better word, to get me in the mood of like, because all he does is just like whine at people and then like berate Kylo, and you're like, this dude doesn't even do anything. Like, what's his purpose, right?
Like, I kind of like the lightning scene, like where he lightninged out of the ground or whatever. But like, yeah, he doesn't
You're
do
fast
anything
forwarding.
to like.
Hold on.
Well, no, that he does that to Kylo.
I know. I
in
didn't
first
mind that
game.
either.
It's fine. You know, whatever.
Where are we at?
all right.
My next note is about Luke. So.
Yeah, same. Well, I just want to say Snoke's guards, the design is really cool. I really like
Oh
those
yeah,
guys.
I like that
a new
room,
take on
too.
like the red guards. I thought,
Yeah,
that was
I think it's
alright.
really cool. Their weapons are great. The Luke stuff.
Let's start with the Luke saber toss, because apparently this is a division in our group.
Oh God. I used to hate it so much.
Why do you like it now?
I don't like it. I'm indifferent to it. I wish he had just like looked at it and then just dropped it.
Yeah.
The throw over the shoulder felt like more of the comedy that I hated. It's not heartbreaking to me. To me, it's a waste of a good scene. It could have been great, and it's average to below average to me now.
What really that scene felt like to me was Rian Johnson taking J.J. Abrams' script and saying, fuck that.
Oh, 100%. That's what happened. Also,
he yeeted it. He yeeted it.
Because I don't know if we're going to get there. The biggest problem with this movie is at the end credits, it says written and directed by Rian Johnson. The first one says written and directed by Lawrence Kasdan and J.J. Abrams. And there's no collaboration. That's what it is. That's the worst thing about this movie. Is that Ryan did not collaborate with anybody. We'll get there, though. Sorry, since you brought it up.
That was a good tangent.
Yeah, the Luke saber toss I hate. The scene where he drinks the tip milk, fucking gross, and I get it out of my Star Wars movies.
Why do we need it?
It's so disgusting. Oh my God!
He drinks alien kitty milk. He takes alien kitty milk and he drinks it.
I don't mind that he's milking animals to get milk, but why did he have to? Here, I'll show it for people who can see it. I'll do what he does. He goes. And it's disgusting. It's fucking gross. Like, are you kidding me? He makes that stupid face, and it's just like you ruined it. You
leave that fish scene in. That's fine. Like, we're seeing how he lives. Leave the fish scene.
Yeah,
that's fine. Him catching a fish or whatever. But also, he said he closed himself off from the force, but he definitely does a force jump. Anyways.
Well, maybe he's just calisthenics or something.
CrossFit.
CrossFit.
That's like 60.
He's staying loose
like
on
the
that.
dude
Have you guys seen
that works out at the wild?
Have you guys seen The Boys?
Yeah, I've seen
Have you guys seen The Boys though? With that milk scene reminds me of what the main Captain America guy does with the milk. My God, like that's just creepy. Like it's fucking weird. Creepy. Oh, I hate it. Anyways, keep going.
It's just disgusting.
I digress.
I hate that scene. My next note, the Luke Ray stuff throughout the whole movie, but especially the beginning, well, especially the whole movie, I think it's really well done. It's one of the highlights of the film. It really keeps the first like hour and a half of the movie from being completely awful.
I'll keep it positive since I've been mainly negative. I thought, again, this is where comedy worked for me. Maybe you guys don't agree. Was the Ray reaching out scene. I thought that was kind of funny. Like he does like the little branch. I feel something.
Great
Can you
scene.
feel it?
I thought that was great.
I can feel it. I think it's great. I think
that
it's
is
so
a
funny.
good scene.
I think that was
is a
really,
good
really
scene.
good. Yeah. I agree with you.
But now that we're talking about Luke, we're diving into the whole reason he's on this fucking island. Or is that later in the movie? Should we wait for that?
I mean, we can talk.
It's later because it's revealed later why he's there. So we'll wait.
All right, we can wait. So Luke stuff at the beginning.
I want to.
Go ahead, Alex.
I want to extend one olive branch to Dan on what I liked about this, because this was I think one of the beginning scenes of her on the island when Luke takes her into the temple and he starts talking about how the Jedi fell and how they got destroyed. That to me was a highlight of any Star Wars movie, and I will admit it.
That was nice.
That the way that he approached that, and he in common sense told you, hey, this is why the Jedi fell. Like this is why how the greatest power in the galaxy, that the Jedi, this is how that they fell from power. They had too big of an ego. They were too aloof from normal society. Because they were trying to block themselves from emotion, they lost touch with reality. And that led to their ultimate fall. And I thought that was beautiful. I thought the way the monologue that he allowed Luke to have in that temple to describe that was absolutely beautiful. One of the highlight of any Star Wars movie I've seen.
I agree, and I think it really helps to solidify Revenge of the Sith. It's like the whole theme of hubris, and it's even in this movie too. Hubris is a huge theme with powerful Force users, and like everyone thinking that they're more powerful than they are, and thinking that they won't lose power because they're so strong. And I think it's it's that speech with Luke is one of the best speeches one of the best things in this sequel trilogy. It's really well done.
Didn't they name drop Sidious and Vader in that whole scene?
Yeah, I know they name dropped Sidious. I don't know if they
name dropped Vader because he said a Jedi Master trained and created Darth Vader. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. What else is there? So then we have the Leia and Poe scene where she says, where he's like, there were heroes on that mission, and I made a note. She says, dead heroes, no leaders.
Dan, you're going to be happy with me here.
Yeah.
My view on, actually maybe even Dave, because he had made this a point in our regular, or our first Last Jedi podcast about the dynamic between Leia and Poe. I think we both hated it first, Dan.
Yes, we did.
I kind of agree with Leia now that you can't just be gung-ho. I think
I really
she needed
like
to rein him in a little bit. Yes, he's super talented. Yes, he can take down a Star Destroyer by himself. But you can't always be guns first because they lost, half their fleet because of what he wanted to do. So I now kind of like that battle that's going on.
Yeah, I think it works really well in the context of this movie.
Yeah, that was another positive note I had.
Yeah.
As much as I'm mad about Poe's ultimate kind of trajectory in this movie, because he kind of annoys me because stop doing what you normally do, but it took him the whole movie to learn that. And
well, it's character progression.
I just think it. No, for sure. And I want him because I like Poe as a character. I want him to not do that. But of course he would do that. You know what I mean? Of fucking course that guy just wants to start fighting, blowing shit up. I think it really makes sense, and in the context of this film too. You could argue the.
I think we lost.
Just
we're
out
losing
of range the whole time.
We lost you there, Dave. You're gonna have to repeat what you said.
Am I there?
Yep, you're there now.
I was just saying, you could argue the point that the whole setup of that war plot is flawed, which is fair.
Oh, we'll get there.
Of them just being just out of range. We can get into that, but in the context of that whole thing, Poe's arc makes sense. Of course he would try to sneak Poe on. I'm sorry. Of course he would try to sneak Finn on that ship to, turn off all of their things and be able to make a thing, because that's what they always do. That made so much sense to me. And
you're really jumping ahead of the notes.
I'll rein it back in. I was just going to say,
you jumper.
My problem with Poe's motivation that was written in is that he wants to destroy this dreadnought super bad, right? He wants this thing gone. But he just took out their freaking main weapon. Why does this particular dreadnought need to go right now? When you just took out their main weapon?
Because it's a fleet killer.
But it sounds like they have multiple. So what's the point of taking out one? I don't know.
Because it's a fleet killer.
but it sounds like they have multiple.
I think it makes sense with Poe's character, though, is that he's not looking at the bigger
I know,
picture,
it's just a
and they
little
say
nitpick.
that.
A little nitpick.
Yeah.
No, I
alright,
agree, though. I
let's,
think
you
it
know.
makes sense for him, and I buy it, is what I'm saying. Sorry.
So then we have the Leia scene.
Oh, that's
That's
my
the
next
next
note too. God bless. Oh,
Man, I really love the
Holy
idea, but
fuck.
the execution is just so bad. Holy man.
No, I
it's
hate the
bad.
idea and I hate the execution. You can't have somebody fucking revive themselves in space, Dan. That doesn't fucking exist.
and
She's
what
not
a-
a
That's how
goddess.
the Force
She's a
works.
princess.
that's not how the
No, it
Force
doesn't.
works.
You can't make oxygen in your lungs when you're in a vacuum. That's not possible.
I agree.
It
I
could've
didn't.
worked.
It just wasn't needed.
And what a shitty way for Akbar to go.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah,
Tough-
Akbar.
Oh,
That's a
yeah,
tough
alright.
one.
Yeah,
tough
Akbar.
death for the admiral.
That's a tough one for him.
Yeah, I just don't think it. I don't. It didn't. It didn't provide anything to her character.
No.
Yeah.
Added no value.
You know what I mean? Like there
Besides
was
that,
no
she can use the Force a little bit.
But they could have done that in so many other ways.
Yeah,
Like,
but
they do that still with her, like mentally communicating with Kylo, and like she could have just done something to where like Kylo pressed the button or somebody pressed the button and she just like deflected a laser. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have to kick her out of the cockpit.
Exactly,
to do
Dave.
that. You know what I mean? Like there was so many other ways to prove and to show that she used the Force.
I think Ryan wanted to show that, yeah, that she was a powerful character, right? And then she could do more than just telepathy. To your point, Dave, there's a million fucking ways you can show that. A million.
Yeah.
And
Right.
not
That's
by
why I think the
taking-
idea was
Have
good.
her divert
Agree.
those bombs with the Force or something. Like that would have
Right,
been sick.
exactly.
Turn
Yeah, that
back
would've
on those
been,
TIE
again-
fighters. That would have been sick.
Yeah,
Sick.
they didn't need to go that
Sick.
route, and I don't know why they did necessarily. There was probably other alternate scenes that they shot that they should have just used. You know what I mean? Just like use anything else, and it's fine. I'm not mad at you for that.
It could have been a lot better, yeah.
That one was just like
so yeah.
Ryan was like in his theater, and he was like, "Yes, people are gonna be pissed over this." Oh, hoo, hoo, hoo. And you're like, "Fuck off, man! Like, don't give me that."
What else? Yeah, we mentioned it before, but I think the space chase plot is boring at
We're getting
best,
space
and
chase.
I said
Are we doing this?
fucking idiotic at worst.
It's right at the
I think
start
it's
of
so
the movie.
dumb.
What the fuck was he thinking? What the fuck was he thinking?
I know Star Wars is not perfect. I know there's plot holes. But my God, here's what you have one Star Destroyer chase them and then have the rest go boom, boom, and just trap them in. What the fuck is this
It could-
slow?
yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough
It's-
one.
Sir, they're outrunning us, but we have light
Never-
speed. I don't
It's bad. I have no defense for
When
it.
in the
I think it's
previous
stupid.
6 movies did you ever see somebody go, "Oh, jump the light speed. Oh, I don't have enough fuel." One word, fuel.
That too.
When the fuck did fuel ever become a
play a
goddamn
factor?
factor in
They
Star Wars?
they tried to ground this movie.
When was Han Solo like, "Punch it, Chewie"? Oh, we're out of fuel. Shit.
They tried
You
to
never
ground this
fucking
movie
see
so
that.
hard, and I understood why. But after watching it again and kind of getting to know the whole thing, I'm just like there's other ways to ground a film. There's other ways to do what you were trying to do, but like don't just like cut the franchise off at its knees.
Right.
Like don't just like get so realistic that you're just like, oh, now we have fuel reserves. Like, yeah, you're right. They never had fuel reserves.
Like this isn't fucking Star Trek.
Phantom Menace
You know?
had they were leaking hyperdrive fuel, but that's the only other mention of fuel in the
Oh,
whole
good point.
movies.
But they weren't like rationing it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I think
Yeah, that's
it
the
was
only
just like
reason that they had to land was because they were leaking
bad.
fuel.
It's just bad. It
And
really-
apparently,
it was just
I
like
have
in
no
a
defense
spaceship,
for it.
you only have 2 speeds, either light speed or moderately slow. You only have 2 options
Yeah.
when in a spaceship, apparently, in Star Wars.
those are bigger ships and they're not X-wings. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, but couldn't
There's
you just
no weight in
fail-
space, man.
couldn't you just have light speeded like fucking 500 meters in front of you and then gotten to
Also,
where you need to
we
be?
know these ships are going to run out of fuel. Why not take these other medical base ships and flagships, take their fuel and put
Yeah,
it in the big
bingo.
one?
And push it somewhere else.
And push it somewhere else.
yeah, no, I don't know. Again, that whole thing is flawed.
Yeah,
You can
it
argue
doesn't-
all you
I
want.
mean, it
There's
doesn't make any
so
sense.
many
So
holes
it's
and
hard to
fields you
watch
want.
again.
And
And
just
then the
one last comment for me.
Lobbing
And
the
the,
shots.
and the grand in the grand scope of Star Wars universe, it's one of the most, or no, probably the most massive universe we have in sci-fi. And you chose, in all that glory and massiveness, to have a hour-long fucking space chase scene, slow space. Come on, Mick, you have so many options for where you can go, planets to explore,
Yeah, let's
things, adventures to be had, and you chose to do that. Like, what were you thinking?
It was bad.
Last thought on that.
Oh, yeah, I agree. It's very poorly done. What else? My next note was Holdo. I said,
damn, we are on
fuck
par right
Holdo.
now, pal.
Yeah, I said fuck Holdo. She sucks.
That whole
We
thing
didn't
makes
need her
no
character.
sense. Why is she hiding their plot?
Why? And why are you introducing a villain inside of the Resistance? But she's not really a villain.
Why
she's
hide?
just
Why hide her
not
idea?
aligned with Poe.
Why hide what she's trying to do? Why hide that from Poe?
And like, right, like I get like, and a bunch of people are like, well, in the military you don't have to. Well, it's like, you know what? There's 400 fucking people alive.
That's
the
the
whole
argument
ship
that I used
just
today,
got
for
blown
sure.
up.
Yeah, I made that argument.
What are you doing?
The Last Jedi apologists are
like
like, she didn't want to, if there was a traitor, she didn't want to tell them. I'm like,
but
you have
Poe
400
and Finn,
people.
Poe, Finn, and Rose already figured out how they were tracking. It was active tracking in the lead ship. So that doesn't make sense to say like, oh, Holdo was keeping it close to the vest because she wasn't sure who she could trust. You don't think she can trust the guy that's willing to sacrifice half the fleet to kill one ship? Whatever, And then at the end, she's like, he's got fighting him. I like him. And Leia's like, me too. And it's like, why didn't you fucking tell him your stupid fucking plan?
Here now, I'm gonna get.
I do like this movie.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Now let's get into the spaceship, into the bigger spaceship. Lightspeed. First off,
okay, hang on. That's way later in the movie.
No, it's not. Not that much later.
Yeah, dude. Dude, that's like that's in the climax.
Not in my notes.
We haven't even gotten to Rey and Kylo. Your notes are you're jumping.
You're jumping. All right, fine. You go ahead then.
We'll get there. Who's running this podcast?
Not me.
Yeah, I know, not you. It's me.
Palpatine.
No, there's only a couple more.
Other region controlling you, Dan. He's behind this whole
organization. Shut up.
Go. Behind the whole operation.
I don't want to talk about that right now. Let's just we'll hit a couple of things and then we'll get into that. Rey and Kylo, their Force connection, so good. I think it's great. It's the best part of this whole movie.
I digress when I said that Rey and Luke is the best part of this movie. Rey and Kylo kill this movie, dude. They are so good.
Their relationship is the backbone of this trilogy, and it's
really,
so good.
really good.
What do you guys think?
I'm not as sold on it. It bothered me.
Okay, well, you're wrong, but that's fine. Why?
Now we're getting into
curious.
We're getting into loaded questions again. Because now this brings in Luke's arc, it brings in Kylo's arc, and it's just
okay. Well, let's stop going through it scene by scene, and let's just talk.
No, we're just talking. All right. Well, if we're just talking, let's talk about Luke's arc and why it's so shitty.
I love Luke's arc in this movie.
Not shitty.
It's really good.
Not shitty.
It's really good.
Who is this Luke Skywalker, and what happened to the real one?
Dude,
he's human, man. He's got a human conflict.
What did Dave say?
Luke's been this way since episode 4.
No. Luke Skywalker was the most optimistic, hopeful character probably in the history of movies. He was the most
about
optimistic
himself.
and hopeful.
Except about himself. Luke was always bad-mouthing himself. As soon as he started training with Yoda, that dude was like denying everything about his own personal ability.
That is a
never
Padawan Luke compared to a Master Jedi.
I think the idea...
Apples and oranges here,
dude. No, dude, I'm down.
I think the idea of what we all thought Luke was and what Luke actually was...
No, you can't say what Rian Johnson Luke Skywalker was and what we all
No.
thought.
What I'm saying is because, I mean, Luke, even in Return of the Jedi, Luke goes to the dark side. Like, it happens. He uses anger against Vader. He's able to pull back, but it happens. Like, that's a fact. Like, he's bashing him like a fucking madman.
Yeah.
So to consider that Luke couldn't for 1 second have some doubts about the most darkness he's seen in a Force user since Vader, I believe it. I buy it. Especially after rewatching Return of the Jedi, I buy it. I think it's
I don't buy that he would try to
sensible.
kill him. And I don't buy. I know we've talked about this in past podcasts that he would retreat to an island and hide.
I do. I think
Mark,
so.
I think
he
Mark
pulled a
Hamill
Yoda.
said this. Mark Hamill said this in at least like 12 different interviews, and this is a quote: "A Jedi never gives up." That is the fact. Like Luke Skywalker would never have just been like, "Oh, I fuck it. I'm clearly corrupt. I need to go to an
I know
island."
Yoda,
I know
Never.
Dave's gonna say.
Obi-Wan. They
What
both
did
did
Yoda,
it.
What was Yoda doing?
Yoda was going to research how to become a Force ghost after he's dead. Like he was going there.
Yoda wasn't doing jack shit.
Qui-Gon
held
did
Force
already.
powers that he was going to research.
Yoda said, "Failed I have. Into exile I must go."
And that was
Yeah,
the
like,
failed
what does
Jedi
that
Order.
sound like?
That was the
Luke.
failed Jedi Order.
It's the same Yoda that taught Luke, man.
It's the flawed way of the Jedi. And now Luke is supposed to be this new generation, but he keeps doing the same old shit.
He was still taught by Yoda, who went into exile after he failed. I'm just saying it makes sense. It makes more sense than you guys give it credit for, I think.
No, it
I just
doesn't.
think it's not what you want Luke Skywalker to be in your head. But I think at the end of the
That's
movie,
what I'm
it's
saying.
exactly
I
what
agree
Luke
with that.
Skywalker is in my head, and I'm like, damn right. But it's always after Luke says, "You want the impossible. I can't do this. Like that. It's too much. I'm not strong enough," kind of thing. And then he comes back and is like, "Yes, I am." Because again, at the end of the day, I'm always optimistic. But there was no one else in the universe to support that dude. Minus, I guess, Leia and maybe like the handful of
His
resistance
fucking
fighters.
Force wielding sister. Yeah, I think she could have supported him a
Well,
little
that's
bit.
another thing. Like that's another thing I want to touch upon because like episode 9 introduces it a lot, and like she saw a vision of. We can get into that a little bit later, but like she
We'll
doesn't
get
use
into
the
that,
Force that
yeah.
often because of reasons that they introduce in episode 9. So like no, she handed over her lightsaber. She wasn't using it. You know what I mean? She was just like, I'm gonna command an army, and that was her thing. And like I just think Luke's journey to that makes sense. He was like, I failed. We're at that point where like I could have done something differently and I didn't, and like for that reason I'm out, kind of thing. I don't know. I buy it.
Just a quick note for me on my closing thoughts on the Luke. I think Luke's arc is a small catechism of the entire movie of what I think Ryan's doing, and I think Ryan is trying to always trick the audience. He's always trying to subvert your expectations of what you're expecting. Right? It's pervasive through the film, and I think the Luke arc is just one of those things that shows he is trying to subvert your expectations or trick you, for lack of a better word.
At the same time,
And
though,
I
at the
think
same time,
even the lines he has is like, when Luke says this is not going to happen the way you think. Like I think that's literally Ryan Johnson talking to us, like trying to tell us, hey, this
he's
movie's
a
not
little
going to happen the
literal,
way you want it to.
He's for sure literal.
He's a little
let
trigger
the
happy
past
with the
die,
subverting.
kill it if you have to. When Kylo, I mean, it all plays into that, and I hate it. I don't like. I think there's so much lore you could tap into for the actual Star Wars nerds, the guys who live and die for Star Wars. So much stuff you could have tapped
exactly
into.
what I was gonna say is that
to make his arc, amazing, and he just totally whiffed on it.
I think that's what my point was going to be. I think Alex said it the best. Is this comes we will never agree about this Luke arc thing, no matter what's said in this podcast here. What happened is what Ryan Johnson think Luke would do, and I agree with Alex. He's trying to subvert expectations, and I think what I am saying is that Luke just could have taken so many different paths, so many different options, explored some of this, like Alex said, kind of extended universe type EU type stuff, and he went with a simple basic story that I just don't agree with, and you guys do, and that's just kind of what it's going to be. We're going to just agree to disagree on it.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I think that's fair.
I see your point of view. I get what you're saying.
I get your guys'
From my
too.
point of view, the Jedi are evil.
I understand your guys' point of view as well.
Nice, Dan, Dave, I don't understand your guys' point of view, and I want to punch both in the face right now.
I'm gonna be fair. I get both of your points as well.
We can duke it out.
I think it's Luke having the same human conflict that he's always had. To me, that's what it is to me. He's always had
in a way that
doubts.
you don't really appreciate.
Right, and that's fair. This is the time where it doesn't work out for him. This is the time where he fucks up having these human doubts instead of he's able to save it the other times.
I think I'm
I don't
just sorry, another quick. I just popped in my head. What could have helped this Luke arc for me is that he went to this island to kind of commune with Yoda, Obi-Wan, his dad, and be like, where did I mess up? How do I fix this? How do I make it better? Instead, he just gives up altogether, and that's what bugs me. He doesn't try to fix it.
Well, no,
ever.
wait. Is that what they said happens?
He closed off the Force.
He closed himself off from the Force.
He
That
doesn't
is what-
try to.
But doesn't he also try to? And maybe I'm confused in my timeline. But at some point in Episode 9, they introduced that he and Lando went on adventures together to try to find people.
That was
after,
before.
That was
right?
to build the Jedi.
It was before.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like
That's
Mandalorian,
Mandalorian
time.
time
like-
period.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was like during for some reason.
So
I'm
that
not
is
sure.
my closing argument: is that he didn't go to this island to kind of not fix what he did, but just to kind of figure out what he did wrong and try to go from there. He went there just to give up in general, and that's my biggest problem.
Which is fair. That's a fair point to have.
And it's the most heated, I think, debate in this movie.
And I think that's what
in terms of
split the
its-
community. Is this what we're doing right here? Is what split the community?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is a microcosm.
Well,
of what
and yeah,
happened
we
with
haven't
Star
even
Wars.
mentioned like the EU lovers who read all of these stories about Jesus, Luke Skywalker, Christ, who was literally the end all be all of great Jedi.
Well, he still had problems,
and that's just not the Luke that we see in
he still had
canon
problems
because
in
there's
those
just not
books,
enough.
though, and he messed up in those books. But what he did every
Yeah,
time
but
is
he was
figure
also,
out what he did wrong, and he
the
came
end
back
all
from
be
it.
all of
Yeah.
of Star Wars.
Was
That's what he
Anakin
was
not
in those
either?
books.
I mean,
again, we don't have to talk about it. I just want to get this like out of my brain so I'm not mad. But like, I buy his arc in the sense that he did not grow up knowing his father, but when he discovered who his father was, he was amazed and appalled. But he still had the faith that like I can change him. And at the end, he did. Like at the end, Vader redeems himself and becomes Anakin Skywalker again. But then when he's with Kylo, with Ben, he clearly does not believe that he can do it again. And what he sees is a grandson of Darth Vader.
you're helping our
Not
argument here, Dave.
fixing itself. And no, but to me, I'm saying I believe the way that he was like, I thought I could do that because I've done it again, but my actions clearly just fucked everything up. What the fuck help am I? Like, I'm not helping anything. I'm buying into the past and I'm sticking with what went down already, and I'm not providing anything to benefit the future, and I'm fucking out.
Where does attitude go
I think
of
the
that
best-
everyone is redeemable that he had, though?
No, but I think the best line in the movie is when he says, "I had a second of doubt, and afterward I
That's
felt
fair.
immense shame."
That's fair.
Because that's Luke.
He failed.
That's Luke.
But
Doubt.
then it's his actions
failed.
after Dan that bug me. The hiding on the island and giving
Well,
up.
and that's fine. But how would you feel if your star pupil / nephew / heir apparent to Darth Vader
Yes, I would be
killed
upset.
your students and took the rest? And
I would give him time to
I
mourn.
might go into exile too.
All because I failed him and tried to kill him.
Right. Because
I
he
see
had a
we're,
second
I
of
see we're
doubt.
still going to go on
Like-
this. So
That to me
I
is
think
almost
that- yeah.
Just the way that
that's almost lost when Chewie and Rey come to him. I think this is a little bit afterward when she's first on the island. Come to him in that scene and say, "Hey, Leia and our friend Poe are literally about to get murked. They're about to die. Like, please come help us." And he's like, just shrugs. They just ask like the context of how they're gonna die. He's like, "No, I'm not gonna help you." Like,
Fair.
Leia is your fucking sister. Like, I get that. Yeah. You're humanized and you're ashamed, deep shame. I get that. But when somebody comes to you and say, "Hey, your sister's about to die. Like, she's about to get killed," and he's like, "No, I'm not
I
gonna do
can't
it."
take
Like,
on the
Like,
whole
like,
first
where-
order with a
where's the
laser
human Luke
sword.
there? Where is the human Luke there? Like,
Yeah,
show me
that's a good point.
where's the emotion there? Where's the
Yeah.
oh my, I love my sister. She's probably my only friend in the universe outside of Han and Chewie. Like, and then not even caring that Chewie showed up in this. Like, oh my, don't even get started on that. But
He says,
Yeah.
"Where's Han?" and it's actually really well done because
it
then they
is really
cut
sad.
to Kylo, and then Kylo's blowing up Leia. I think it's really well done. I get what you're saying. I agree, but I also disagree. I think a Luke that cut himself off from the Force and is so ashamed of what he did, he can't face his sister after failing her son.
So
I
he'll
mean,
just let her die.
I buy it.
He's so
Hey, but they
ashamed.
don't.
Okay,
Shut
what
up
was
and
he
let her
gonna
die.
do?
They
But
don't,
he
though,
makes a
you
good
know?
point. What was he gonna do? Fucking show up in
Don't
an
do
X-wing
this.
and
Don't do
face
this.
down the First Order with a goddamn laser sword?
Don't.
Before
I
I
mean,
just said
what was he
this.
supposed to do?
Not
And that feeds
stand
into
idly
all the
by.
hate. But
What?
I get what he says. I understand it because it makes sense.
You know what?
It's like he's not just gonna be able to
Alright.
sneak onto Snoke's ship and just end everything with a laser sword. It just
Agree
doesn't
to
work that way.
disagree.
Right. We need to stop talking about this because we got to breeze through some more of this stuff.
Oh gosh.
Let's talk about how
Not
much
even
we
halfway
hate
through the
Rose
movie.
and the Canto Bite
Rose
scenes.
is worse than Jar Jar Binks. I love Kelly Marie
That's
Tran.
not
though.
true.
Kelly Marie. Stop. Let me clarify. Kelly Marie Tran, wonderful woman. Her personality is fucking amazing. I'm sorry you got written such a shit character. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, you
Rose is not as bad. She's not as bad as we thought. in my
No,
opinion.
she is worse than we thought.
Her
She is
introduction is
the
actually
worst.
super well done.
No, I don't
Where's-
mind her introduction. I don't mind the way they.
I think it's really well done. She has 3 key terrible scenes. The first one is on Canto Bite, where she
All of
says,
Canto
"I'd
Bite.
love to put my fist through this whole lousy, beautiful town."
Agreed.
Terrible line. Not her fault, you know. That's Ryan's
Yeah,
fault for writing a
tough
shit
one to
line.
deliver for sure. Yeah.
The second worst scene is when she stops Finn from sacrificing himself. Terrible. Why would she do that? And then the third worst
Why
scene
would he
is
do that though?
oh,
Ugh,
shut
never
up.
mind.
It makes sense.
What
His
a
character
great
been
story
building
arc for
to it.
Finn that would have been.
Yeah, would have been great. We'll get there.
Yeah, they
'cause that's the
should've-
next
yeah.
thing I want to talk about. And then the kiss and the we don't
Let's not
We
fight
don't-
against what we hate. Let's save what we love.
let's save what we love, and it's like go fuck yourself.
I
That's
have that
terrible.
written right here.
But I actually, on rewatch, I was so prepared to hate Rose. I was like, "You suck," and I was like, "What? Wait, her intro is actually like
It's
it really
fine.
makes me like feel for her. Her
Yeah.
sister was the pilot, which adds even more depth to that. And then I was like, her and Finn and Poe kind of have a fun dynamic when it's the 3 of them. I kind of like that scene. And I don't hate Canto Bite as much as I did. I still hate it.
Now I
still think
respect
it's
none of
poorly
your
done.
opinions.
It doesn't. It does.
I wanna
Canto Bite
virtually slap
does nothing to the. It does nothing to advance the plot.
Yeah.
Well, but it does in the sense that you have to understand is that one, yes, it's Ryan Johnson subverting our expectations. Like this is Star Wars. This Master Codebreaker thing is gonna work, right? The fact that it doesn't work is a character building moment for Poe and for Finn, and I guess Rose, but not really because Rose just got introduced. But it's like Poe and Finn, like what has worked in the past, just it's not gonna work anymore. I get it in the confines of the movie. Like Poe
But they
was
don't-
thinking,
they
you know,
don't-
this
well, now
one in a
we
million
get-
shot is
They
gonna
don't even
work.
address the failure though. Like
What do you mean?
they go back on the ship when they escape the exploding whatever they just destroyed. The
Snoke ship.
Yeah, I guess Snoke ship it was. They fail, which makes the Resistance's situation way worse because now they're getting poked off one by one in their escape shuttles, and then through the grace of Holdo with her immensely cool.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
It was so cool.
That is
We'll
a cool
talk
scene.
about it.
We can
We'll
talk about it right now
And
because it's part of
it
this.
makes sense why they wouldn't do that in a normal sense.
Shouldn't
Because
have been
again,
Holdo.
like it's expensive. Like that's so like you're not just going to destroy one of your top of the notch like shuttle transport ships. Like you're not going to do that every time because that's just a waste of money. But it makes sense in the sense that like we are at our last leg here, and if we don't do something, we're just done. So like it makes sense. Anyway, they escape after that happens. They get back on the ship with Poe, and everyone's like, nothing happened. And it's like, bro, you were the whole reason that they're dying in the first place.
Well, what are they supposed
it goes
to do?
back
Gave
to-
I mean,
information. I'm saying that there was no repercussions for their failure, in
Yeah.
the sense
Agreed,
that
Dave.
like
Agreed.
their characters didn't change after that.
yeah, they
Hard-
did.
Like Rose, Poe.
Poe literally changes his entire method of thinking after that, dude.
But then we get
How?
back
Because
to
he
then we
tries to
get back to
sacrifice himself?
No, that you're thinking of Finn.
I agree. Poe's
What are you talking
character
about?
arc.
Poe.
I'm talking about
Oh.
Finn. Yeah.
You
I
said
wasn't talking
Poe.
about Poe. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's fine, but Finn
But
does too.
it doesn't
No,
make
I'll
any
get
sense.
into why. I
now we
wanna
get
hear
into
what
the
Tawny has to
thing
say.
of Finn's arc in general.
It doesn't make any
Yes,
sense.
I
It's
agree.
it's so
ass.
non-relevant purely for the
happened
fact
to
that
the-
It
he makes
makes
the
sense
situation worse.
until he doesn't sacrifice himself for the.
What
the
happens
resistance.
to things with the Force, man? Why didn't we progress that? Why?
I'm okay with not
Well,
talking about
to be
that. I'm fine with
fair,
it.
I was
No.
fine with not progressing the things with the Force from Force Awakens.
Why?
It would
I just wanted him
How
to have
many
more.
articles you sent
I
me
wanted him
about
to have more screen time.
the amount of articles you sent me about Finn maybe being a Jedi and all these little hints?
Calling them out.
Why?
Yeah, but rewatching this, like, I mean, we
That's
can
not
talk
its
about
story.
theories all we want, but at the end of the day, like,
No, it's
all
not even
those
theories. It's set up by JJ. Why are we shitting on that? It would have made his character arc so fucking cool. And now he's
why
a
do we have
lame
scenes?
character.
Why do we have scenes
Well,
of
no,
random
his
kids
character
using
arc
the
should have been
Force?
dying at the end of Last Jedi. That should have been his character arc. That's that. I mean,
Agreed. I agree with that.
The way the movie is set up, that's how it should have.
But
been.
he
That's how it
doesn't,
should have
and we still don't set up the Force thing. It's a lose-lose.
Right. But I also don't think you needed to set up the Force thing in this movie.
Yeah,
it could
I
have
agree.
worked better in Rise. I think
Then you're
Rise
going into
needed
the
to be
whole
longer
rushing
if we
thing.
talked
Because
about that.
no, I already know the argument. It would have been now he has Force powers. Where were they in the last movie? That would have been the argument.
Well, they do talk a lot about instinct in 9.
No, yes, and
Just
I'm
interesting.
saying they didn't do anything with it in 8.
No, I
Say
agree.
they give him Force powers in 9. Everybody's like, where were they in 8? That's what the argument would have been.
To me, the whole point of, not the whole point, but like one of the major reasons, like facets of 8 that I really like is the idea that like you don't have to be, Darth Vader's son or grandson to have Force abilities. Like I really like that idea of them introducing like anyone can be a fucking Jedi. Like that's what
Right.
Luke's whole thing is about. He's like, this is for everybody. It's not because I am Darth Vader's son. Like it's for anybody. And they do talk about the bloodlines and all that stuff, and that's totally fine. But like the idea of it is like Mace Windu isn't a Skywalker, but he still has Force abilities and is a Jedi, and like anyone can be that. And like that was the whole point of 8, was to be like, it's not just this franchise that's Star Wars.
I think you're
Now-
supporting
now,
you're
hold
supporting
on.
our point though, Dave, because like he takes the time to show random ass kids using the Force, but he can't take the
Yeah.
time to show
And
Finn,
again,
who has already been
and
set up to have the Force
for sure.
show-
And
using the Force.
I would have no issue, and that's what I was trying to say. I got stuck in a thought, but yeah, I wouldn't have minded that. I wouldn't have cared, or I actually would have liked if they introduced that a little bit more with Finn, because they do it 7 and 9. They talk about that. They're like, what is that makes you think that? And you're like, instinct. And you're like, okay, so you're using some aspect of the Force in some shape or form, in my opinion.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that he's a Jedi, though. In
I think,
this one.
yeah,
That's why
I
I disagree with you. He doesn't have to
misspoke.
be a Jedi to be Force power, or to have Force powers.
Right. I misspoke when I said, like, I think it doesn't make as much sense in the context of how this movie is framed. If the movie had been a little different, then yes, I think, having Finn having Force powers would have been great. I don't know where it comes into play in this movie, just with everything staying as it is, with Canto Bight staying as it is. That leads into the whole problem, is that they should have just cut Canto Bight out and had Finn and Poe and even Rose just be on the ship and mutiny together and figure out different plans there, because obviously our characters work way better when they're together.
Mm-hmm.
So I love Poe's arc in this movie. I think it's like one of the top 2 or 3 things other than Finn, or other than Rey and Kylo. I really like how Poe grows as a character in this movie.
I do too. I think it's fun.
I think going from gung ho flyboy to the leader, basically, of the Resistance is great. And then it's kind of ruined at 9.
Hey,
Alright.
real quick plug. We kind of skipped over. I want to get a quick plug for Benicio. He got a lot of flack in this movie, but I thought one of the olive branches I'll extend to you, Dan. The scene when they're flying back to the after they rescue the Codebreaker, he gives a talk,
Right.
and he's talking about who he's selling, or who is buying and selling weapons to, within the the Star Wars realm. and saying who is really the bad guys and who is really the good guys. They're both just buying machines to kill each other. That was fucking well done too.
That was
like
good.
that was goddamn
But it
good.
took them
Yeah.
45 minutes of shitty casino scene to set up.
Right. We didn't
Exactly.
need the whole Canto Bite scene.
But it was a good
That's the
scene.
problem.
But I just want to give one quick plug to Benicio because that was a good scene.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
no, he
Benicio's
did-
good,
he
and I
really
kind of wish they
had
had
a
brought him
movie.
back in some sense. Like, even if it was like a little bit of like just a cameo in the next movie, whatever. I like Benicio, and I like that scene.
Yeah.
Okay, we are cruising through.
This is this is a doozy.
It's a hard one to talk about.
There's just too much.
Let's go over.
There's a lot of emotions with this movie.
Right. Let's talk about the throne room scene real quick, and then just the end of the movie because we kind of got to push through. So, and I told you guys this before the pod. I think when Rey shows up on Snoke's ship, that's when this movie goes from being completely average to below average to holy shit, this is some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen. And Alex, you made a good point of saying that happens 2/3 into the movie, which is fair.
4/5.
But that last third of the movie is some of the best Star Wars
I like
we've
it a
seen.
lot.
I'm going to
I
start
think
this
the
off by my
throne room-
last olive
you
branch,
go.
Dan. Last
go.
olive
Do
branch
it.
I'm going to give to you. The throne room scene, I'm just going to keep it real quick. The Rey and Kylo fight scene, no shaky camera, no unnecessary zooms on the fight scenes. The choreography was fucking amazing. I mean, we're talking Darth Maul level choreography. Fantastic.
Yeah,
Wide
so good.
angles. So you can see Kylo and Rey in the background fighting, all choreographed perfectly. I mean, again, one of the best fight scenes Star Wars has ever produced. That throne room scene is fantastic. That is the last olive branch I will give you, good sir.
That's fine. I appreciate it. I think it's the second best movie or lightsaber fight scene. I don't think it's really that close either. I love it. I love everything that happens in it. I love that Kylo looks like he's turning towards the light. I love that Rey and Kylo are like this badass team because they've been building this the whole movie. And I love this one line, and I know Swanee's going to hate me for it, but when after everything's done, Snoke is dead, the guards are dead, and Rey says, "Ben, take my hand," and he says, "No, we can rule the galaxy, we can make it what we want." Again, the hubris, And then he says, "You come from nothing. You're nothing," because her parents were scrappers in this movie. And then he says, "Not to me." That shit hits so fucking hard because it's one of the very few things they earned in this movie so well. And I think that everything in the throne room is done to perfection. And I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on it.
Swanee's gonna shit on Snoke dying like
100%. And I'm over Snoke so hard. I was over him.
9, you're kind of like
time I rewatched it.
Snoke's a bitch because he's just like a
Snoke's a
clone
fucking
guy,
bitch, dude.
Like, he's a fucking bitch, dude. Like he doesn't do anything. The whole movie, you're just like, oh, I guess Palpatine did all this shit. Like he's the one that did the dyad of the Force kind of stuff, which I really liked. I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was cool.
And like they introduced it in 8, and I'm like, oh, I get it. Like this is kind of tight. But I think Swanee's gonna shit on that. Let's see what he says.
Let's hear it.
I'm kind of fuming right now, so I don't even know what to say. I disagree with a lot of what's been said in the past 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, of course he did.
That's fair.
I'll try to collect my thoughts. I don't hate the throne room scene. A part that keeps sticking out to me is the very beginning. Rey turns around and blocks 4 of their attacks, and then kicks, and somehow 5 of them jump back from her kicking one person. The choreography was a little messed up there, and it's very noticeable. It's one of those once you see it, you can see it every time.
Yeah, but you can make that argument for
no,
any other
David.
Star Wars movie ever.
I'm just saying it.
Any
bugs me.
action movie ever.
We can do that with every single prequel fight scene. That's all I'm saying.
Anything, yeah.
Not every single.
But
one.
I get you though. I do. I understand where you're coming from there.
I mean, you already said it. Snoke was just kind of a wasted character, and that bugged me. Because again, he was set up to be some cool ass dude. 9 redeems it a little bit. His death scene was super bitch. How do you not see that
I
coming?
liked it.
I loved it. I thought it was great. The
liked it a
hubris.
lot.
It's the theme.
Stop
That's the
saying
theme of
hubris.
It's
Star
all
Wars,
hubris.
man. The hubris of people in
hubris
power
wars,
is
yeah.
the theme of Star Wars, and I
Okay.
love
Because
it.
everything he feels that he's verbalizing is true, and I'm just like,
Yes, I'm
tight.
just
Like Kylo was able
saying-
to work around that, and like that shows who Kylo is a little bit. You're like, damn,
Killing
okay.
the big bad and leaving it where Ryan did. Whoever the next director was set up for failure. We'll get into that later at the end.
Do you think that though?
Yes.
Can I sidebar for real quick? Do you think that
Now
they
we're
did
gonna
not
go on like a
have...
10-minute tangent.
No, I was just. Do you think they
Well,
did not have
Dave, I know what
additional-
you're gonna say. Let's talk about that
Okay.
after 3
All right, fair
or
enough.
after 9.
I'll write it down so don't forget.
Because we're gonna have to breeze through 9
This might be like
as quickly.
a long ass pod.
I know we gotta. We're gonna breeze through 9. That's
Let's give the people what they want.
What makes the throne room ruin for me is one of Kylo's lines where he says, "You're still holding on," where he's talking about "let it all die," and that
think that's
scene
so-
is Ryan Johnson talking to a fan like me, saying, "I know you love the prequels. I know how much you love the originals, but let that go and let me usher in a new era that's really shitty."
See, I think that line is so good, dude.
No,
Because
Dan,
especially
it's
the way
good
Adam
for
Driver
you.
delivers.
It's good for you, but the prequels and the originals are my childhood. Why do I have to
Swanee,
let that
I
go for
love
one shitty
Revenge-
director?
I love Revenge of the Sith more than anyone on this earth, and I still think that's
I don't
so
think
good.
I don't think your love compares to mine. I'm sorry. The way that me
Oh,
and
eat
Jake
my
bonded
ass,
over
man.
Star Wars.
My love of
Eat
Revenge of
my
the Sith
ass,
is
dude.
so
Hubris-
big. Come on.
Hubris is a dangerous tool there, Swanee. Be careful
No,
what you
I'm
say.
just saying that, like, why can this one
like that.
shitty director tell me that I have to let my love of old Star Wars go? Why can't you connect with that? Why is that bad?
Because Kathleen Kennedy told you so.
Yeah, why does this bitch get to tell me I can't love old Star Wars anymore? You know? Why do I have to let it go? Why do I have to let this new era of whatever the fuck this is come in?
Because can I give you a blunt, honest answer?
Sure.
Please do. I want to hear this.
Because there were that was the 8th movie in a franchise, and if you really think about it, it was like there was okay.
Usher
trying to word
in
this
a
in a way
new
that's not-
area.
No. I'm
usher
trying
in-
to give you an answer that I firmly believe in, because again, I'm a little bit more of a late adopter to the prequel narrative, I would say, than you are, because again, you grew up loving that shit. I didn't, and now I kind of have a more big appreciation for it. But every movie was the same before that. Like every movie was like the same thing. So like of course Disney, after they get these movies, are going to be like, I don't want to make the same thing over and over and
If
over
it ain't
again.
broke, bro.
And they still ended up doing it in episode 9. They still ended up making the same
And we'll
film
get
in
there.
episode
We'll
9.
get there.
David,
We'll get there.
But like,
This
I appreciate
is-
the effort to give me something a little bit different than
David, David,
Star Wars episode
this
1.7 or 8.
This is
like,
the Skywalker saga. Bring in that new
Correct.
shit
Correct.
after you finish what I love. Then I'm down
Correct,
for
and
some
that
new
makes-
stuff.
and
Then
I
bring in
understand
then
that
bring in this
completely.
new era of Star Wars after you finish my beloved story. Don't bring it in the second to last episode. No.
That's fair. No, I get you. I
Wrap up
understand
what I
that.
love, and then Ryan Johnson, go ahead and have a heyday. Don't cut
I
in
do think
and butt out.
he would have been great with a standalone film. I agree with you.
Maybe,
I
but
agree.
now I
A
fucking hate him.
standalone
So
or a new trilogy.
Or a new. that
Well,
would
go
be
see
kind of
Knives Out and
Good
you know,
movie.
gain your respect back because that movie's fucking great.
but don't
No, I totally see where you're coming from, Swanee. But like, again, I was getting tired of it. I was like, dude, I just watched
I
episode
wasn't.
7.
I'm a 16-year
blew up
fan,
the
and
Death
you're
Star.
a year fan.
Okay,
Hey,
I'm
I'm
also
just saying,
you
I'm
know,
part of
a
the
long time
box
fan,
office too.
and I can say, you know, of course I hated it originally, but I do respect it. I respect the fact that he wanted to try something different. Granted, was it the best idea for the
No.
second movie in the final trilogy of the Skywalker saga? Maybe not.
Fuck no.
But do I think with a couple of tweaks, this movie could have been one of the best Star Wars movies? Yeah. And still kept its, like, let the past die narrative? 100%. I think this movie does so many things well, and so many things not well, frankly. But okay.
I finished all my thoughts. I'm not talking until we talk about Res.
Yeah, this has been brutal.
Well, we didn't even talk about the last scene.
I'm not going
I think
to.
the Battle of Crate is really fun. It brings me back to.
I think Crate's really good. I
It
think
brings me back
they
to
should have
Hoth,
let
dude.
Finn
It
die
felt like
at
the
the
Battle
end.
of Hoth a little bit. Yeah, they
Or-
should have let him die for sure.
If that's the way the movie is going, they should have let him.
Yeah.
Because that would have been satisfying as fuck. You know, he's
But-
finally done
yeah.
running. This is him taking a stand against the First Order. It would have been good. Would have been, and then you could have had a really emotional scene with like Rey at the end where she's like, "Where's Finn?" And they could have been like
Yeah, that would
silent.
have been
and then
really,
she
really
coulda-
well done.
That would have been really. That would have been one where it's like, okay, this is hitting the emotional highs that I need.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think the Luke Kylo fight scene is really well done. I think everything at the end with Luke is great.
I think so too.
The force projection is really good. I know Swanee and Alex are not talking because they don't agree with me.
No.
That's fine.
Force projection, I didn't mind. I thought that was an okay way for Luke to go. I mean, I didn't love it, and I mean, I didn't hate it. I thought it was a good way for Luke to go. I thought it was cool. I thought it was kind of cool the way the kids at the end too, like we're talking about it, like like Luke Skywalker, like it's like in their mind he's a myth who like beat fucking like the AT-ATs basically, right? Like in their mind, like he not only just helped save the Resistance, he beat a bunch of AT-ATs. But also a random thought, like how the hell do they find out about that so quick? Like was there like a live cam on Luke when he's fucking going? Like
He's Twitch streaming. What do you mean?
Because they knew
Dude,
right
we got
away.
around the galaxy fast,
Right.
dude.
Yeah.
One quick thought of that too.
We're
I
Travis
thought it was
fast,
funny.
man, on Canto Bite.
One of my friends brought this up right after he saw it. He was like, "How did how did Poe not know who the Captain Holdo lady was? Like, had he never seen a picture of her? Like, he has a scene in
That's
there where he's
odd.
like,
And she
"Oh,
has
is that
this
her? The
famous
famous
backstory?
battle?" I'm like, dude, you live in the like the future. How do you like? Do
Yeah.
they not have any pictures of the?
It's a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago. You
Far
know,
away.
who's to
Anyways,
say? Who's to
I
say?
digress. I digress.
Yeah.
Past future.
Okay.
I get what you're saying though. They're
Let's do rankings with this brief synopsis you can give if you need to give one. Alex, let's start with you. Where's it ranked, pal?
So no surprise here. This is gonna be number 10 on my list.
Second to last. All right.
I think we all know what 11 is. Yep.
100%.
Yeah, just final thoughts wrapping this up. You mentioned, yeah, could have been some tweaks to make this better. In my mind, there would have needed to be massive tweaks to make this an acceptable Star Wars movie in my mind. I mean, I extended some olive branches to you for some bright spots in here, but my God, this was a bad fucking movie, and that's my final synopsis.
I appreciate your honesty. Dave, what you got? We're going to alternate here.
I got, dude, you guys are gonna hate me. I got it at 5. Again, I want to reiterate this to Swanee and to Alex, who's new to this discussion. This would be if you were given all 11 movies on a table spread out. What order are you picking them in to watch based on like, just the way that you're feeling on that day? And like, it's number 5. Like there are so many other movies below this that I would not rather pick in a lineup if I had to. I think I've laid out my reasons for liking it, so I'm just gonna call it as it is because that's very not me, and I'm gonna give the floor to some other people for this one.
Alex, just note that is one ahead of Revenge of the Sith.
Correct.
He had Revenge at 6.
I can give
Dave,
top 7. I guess we can talk about it after 9.
Yeah.
Dave, I do not respect that ranking,
That's
nor
okay.
do I agree with it.
That's okay.
All right. Swanee, what'd you have, pal? I know what it is.
12.
It's 11.
12. You heard me. Kicking and Screaming goes at 11.
Star Wars Christmas Special. Star Wars Christmas
Star
Special is
Wars
11.
Christmas Special.
12.
Doesn't count.
12 is Last Jedi.
That's it. I'm not saying anything else.
All right. I have Last
Life Day.
Jedi
Life Day.
at 7th. For all the I know. Oh, you're gonna hate me when you figure out what 8 is, which you'll figure out probably after this next one. I I think that, like I said, a few tweaks in this probably could have been my second or third favorite movie. I love character-driven stories, and that's what this is. And it does when it does it with the right characters, aka Poe, Kylo, Rey, and Luke. In my opinion, I think it fires on all cylinders. Obviously, there's some bad stuff, but there's bad stuff in every Star Wars movie. There's more bad stuff in this one than some others, but I really like this movie. So that's where we are. All right. We got to breeze through this next one, which might be difficult, but we'll do our best.
We'll try.
Rise of Skywalker. Man, I loved this movie first time I saw it, and then I rewatched it, and I still like
Dan,
it a lot.
can I tell a story about this one real quick to start this off?
Oh, yeah.
So I think you mentioned that you weren't with us. You were definitely with us when we watched this because I watched it with you, Dan. I think also
I wasn't with you guys for Force Awakens. I sat next to you when we watched this the first time.
Yes.
Alex.
So I described this to Austin and Dave. I think you're off pre call or pre podcast.
Mhm.
So Dan, me and you walked out of this theater after seeing this. I'm not saying we were crying, but we both had tears in our eyes. Like we were emotional.
Yeah.
I remember
was
looking
dusty.
at you and like I was dusty. Yeah, exactly. It was dusty. It was dusty in the room, and I remember looking around. I looked at you and I was like, Dan, like that was a great fucking movie. Like holy shit, like he pulled it off. JJ fucking pulled it off. And then after rewatch it happened. I think I rewatched it about 4 times the next couple weeks. The shine
Same.
kind of wore off after the initial watch. Some of the glaring issues with the movie started to show their head more and more. But I will still give this movie and JJ credit. I think there was so much angst built up after Last Jedi, and so much, oh shit, we are going off the cliff of what Star Wars is and the Star Wars universe, and then what makes the Star Wars movie. And going into that movie, I think we all had such trepidation and fear about what was coming, and to feel the release and the way that the movie ended, I think really, again, I will give the movie and JJ credit. I think he pulled it off. I think he brought us back out of Last Jedi and got it back into Star Wars again. And for that, I will always give this movie probably more credit than it deserves. But I loved it. So
Yeah. Alex, I'm 100% agreeing with you. We first walked out, loved it, thought it was so good. I think I ranked it like top 3. I was like, this might be my favorite movie ever, depending.
Yep.
And then I rewatched it, and I was like, man, I like it still, but I don't love it anymore.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I hadn't fully gotten on the Last Jedi train like I am now. And I was like, this still fixes a lot of the issues that I had with that film. And it still does, even after rewatching both of them. Swanee and Dave, real quick, what did you guys think when you first saw it versus now? And then we'll get into the nitty-gritty quickly. Swanee, you go first this time.
Oh. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Definitely walked to that theater. I was like, oh my god, this is fucking awesome. JJ did it. He fixed everything that I hated. He hinted more about Finn having force powers, which is what I really wanted. I heard Hayden's voice. I was like, fuck yeah, man.
Fucking love Hayden.
So great. And then, watching back a few times, I'm like, okay, it's cool hearing Hayden, but I would have loved to see, like, a line of Force Ghosts behind Rey, like, kind of, like, supporting her or something. And other little nitpicky things, like the speed of the plot. And
oh man, this movie is fucking fast.
If you're not,
I saw one guy describe it as it matched the speeds that the Last Jedi had with the starships, where it was either lightning fast or deadly slow.
I agree with that.
It was
Dead
one
ass
of 2
slow,
speeds. This
yeah.
movie was.
The progression of the plot was really weird. But there's little things that, like, in the very beginning, one of my favorite lines in the movie is when Kylo. The opening scene is one of my favorites. Kylo goes to Mustafar, finds the
Really good.
Wayfinder, gets to Sidious. I don't mind Sidious
great.
being in this movie. I know a lot of people have a gripe with that. Because
Yeah, we'll get into that.
he really did start the whole thing. We'll get into that. But one of my favorite lines is what Sidious says is Kylo makes a comment about being dead, and he's like, I've died before. Then he says what he said in Revenge of the Sith is like the dark side is a pathway to many things that would be some would consider unnatural.
Abilities.
Yes. Pathway to abilities many would deem unnatural. I was like, that is a nice callback to the prequels that I love. And you know, it I don't want to call it a safe movie, but it felt like a Star Wars movie again.
Yeah.
And I guess you could say the Star Wars genre is safe. But it felt like I was back into Star Wars again, so I didn't hate it. I mean, right now I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I enjoy watching it. So
yeah. All right, Dave, what you got?
Dude, I initially watched this movie, and as soon as I heard in the trailer Palpatine's laugh, I went, "Here we go." Like, just throwing old shit back in the mix. Like, good job, fucking Star Wars. Like, great on you. Just repeat the same things over and over. I love it. It's great. You know. But then again, I come back to the idea that I watch these. I've been watching these for almost a month now. You know what I mean? Like every weekend, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And like I watched this movie last night and I loved it. Like I really did enjoy the movie. Like I had fun watching this movie. I really was interested in Rey and Kylo's, ending arc. I really was interested in finding out and discovering what happens. Wasn't mad that Palpatine was back. I didn't really care because again, to me, the movie isn't about Palpatine. It's not about the First Order or the Last Order, really at all. It's more about like Rey and Kylo like figuring their shit out, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like it's like a weird love story in that kind of sense, which was interesting. I can shit on the Imperial fleet all day because again, like now you just got Star Destroyers that are also planet killers now. Like what's the point of
you hate the
Star
planet
Killer?
Like that.
Dude, again, like it's a great power, but like if you're gonna make it like a nuke thing, like that's what they are to me, is like they're nuclear weapons. The freaking the rebellion should just spend all their money on 1, 2, and then you would have an equal fair fight. Like, don't spend money on other shit. Just like everything all you have into another planet killer station that you can then use to deter the Empire. Like, do something. Don't just run away from it all the time.
The rebellion's values of that they don't want to become the Empire.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like the United States doesn't like to use nukes either, but they got them.
You're doing a very objective view, or
No, I'm just saying, like again, it's just like it's the same old stuff, and it's like that's not what makes movies fun. Is the same old stuff. If I did, I would watch every single reboot ever and shoot it shot for shot. But like that's not the whole point of movies and narratives. It's to have different stuff. And so they're always just going back like that's our. It did, but also at the same time, I was like, I love it. Like, I don't care at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I want to finish this story with Rey and Kylo because that's what I'm here for. And I had a really good time watching it, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't care. Like, the ending battle was really fun. I think this is Finn's best movie. I think there's nothing, apart from him, one of his major goals or major jobs in the movie is just to yell Rey out loud really loud. But like in terms of his actions in the movie, like he has a really good role, and I think he's really fun in this one. And he meets the other stormtrooper deter, and like that's really fun too. And like I think that's a great storyline.
Really wish we could have gotten more like Rey, Finn, Poe time. They were pretty good together.
A little bit, yeah. They kind of moved away from it, which is a little.
I know.
Weird.
I thought they were good together.
I think it was really fun.
Imagine then Kylo coming in. What a quad team.
Yeah, that's like Avatar: The Last Airbender stuff in season 3.
That'd have been sick.
You know what I mean? Like,
all right.
I would be here for that.
No spoilers to the fans, aka me.
I didn't say. Oh, you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen season 3.
This is on you. That is on you.
We won't talk about it. Yeah, I know it's on me, guy. I don't like to finish stuff.
Mental disease is a real thing, kids. Please be careful.
It is. I think
we should podcast
that brings up.
We should.
Yeah, we should. That brings up my biggest problem with this movie is that it's not long enough. Like where Last Jedi felt like
Yeah.
bloated by about a half an hour.
Bingo.
At
For
least.
sure.
This movie feels like it could have been
Which
another hour.
Those whole
start the
rumors.
conspiracy theories of Kathleen cutting off
She
JJ
totally
from
did,
Right.
dude. Totally.
Yep.
There is a longer cut
So
out
yeah,
there, and I know
for
it.
anyone that doesn't know, there was a lot of
release it.
There was a lot of rumors about studio meddling. That originally JJ has a cut of this movie that's like 3 hours long, kind of similar to the vein of Avengers Endgame, where it would have wrapped up everything nicely. It may have felt a little long, but it would have been precise. And I think it was due a lot to what happened with Last Jedi. Last Jedi is 2 hours and 45 minutes long, I believe,
Grind.
or something close to that. And this movie is only 2 hours and 15 minutes long. And it's like, this movie just needed more time. Another thing that hampers this movie is Carrie Fisher's untimely death before they could finish filming. It really makes it harder to, because she was going to have a huge role in this film, and she does.
She's gonna be Rey's master.
Yeah, shockingly, which they did so well with what they had. Like,
I think they really cut around it super well.
I think they did a good job with it. I really enjoyed the way that she was like, okay, it's my last hurrah here, and I'm just gonna.
What really made her passing away sad for me is that we never really got to see Mark, her, Carrie, and Harrison together on screen again. That's what was really sad about it.
That would have been really fun. Speaking of Harrison, holy shit. Him and Ben's scene in this movie, I literally was sobbing. This is when it got like uber dusty in the theater, Alex, was when...
Very misty.
Because it's a perfect callback to Force Awakens. And again, it's Harrison Ford just being Han Solo, but like the kind, caring Han Solo that we love also, along with the cool, rugged, sexy Han Solo that we love. And that's the thing. For as many faults as this movie has, I can overlook all of them because of this movie hits so many highs for me.
Absolutely, 100%.
Like the scene where all the ships come in. Yeah. Oh, it just like when I said Revenge of the Sith hits hard emotionally, this is probably the second most emotions I feel watching a Star Wars movie.
What was Hera's ship called? Is it the Phantom or something like that?
Isn't it the Ghost?
Or the Ghost. Seeing the Ghost in the background, that was awesome.
All the ships, man. Oh, it's great. And like this is what should have happened in Last Jedi, probably.
It's a cartoon thing, Dave.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a Rebels thing. We'll get there. You'll watch it eventually.
And the subtle thing for a big fan like with me when all those ships came in was something that was really cool was they brought back, it's very easy to miss, but if you watch close, they brought back the B-Wing, they brought back the U-Wing from Rogue One, and they brought back Y-Wings were heavily prevalent again, the bombers in this movie, if you noticed. So that was cool for like a super nerd.
So yeah, I mean, again,
not to mention all the voices that. Sorry, my bad. All the voices that come over when Rey is rise.
Ahsoka,
all the throwback voices. Holy
so
shit! I mean,
really
about
cool.
Misty, Dusty in the room. I was balling.
When Anakin was like, finish what did
I
he
was
say?
shaking the first time I watched. I was like,
Anakin was like, finish what I started, basically.
He's like, bring balance to the Force, like I did, or something.
Oh, that hit home.
So good. Like, it's so good. Also, Mace Windu didn't really deserve to be there.
Again, but sorry, quick rebuttal for what I just said.
Don't shit on Sam Jackson. Don't shit on Sam Jackson.
I love Sam Jackson, but come on.
You let Sam Jackson stay in that VO, okay? You give him that line because you heard it and you liked it, and I know you did.
I did.
Don't shit on
Mace
Sam
Windu
Jackson.
was the only one who knew Palpatine was what he was.
Dude, no
he
shit.
Died.
Palpatine could have been the hero. Oh. Or, dude, Mace Windu.
Don't do it.
I love that guy. He knew.
Lonnie,
he
what
knew.
were you gonna say?
I had just a quick rebuttal for what I said to myself is I loved having Hayden say that, but at the same time, this whole arc undermines his arc a little bit, so it hurts kind of because
he still brought balance, though. I think there's still balance.
Kind of.
Anyways. I mean, at the end of Revenge, there's 2 Sith and 2 Jedi. At the end of Return of the Jedi, even if Palpatine's not dead, there's still 1 Sith and 1 Jedi. Luke, Palpatine. Because Leia's and kind of a Jedi, but not really.
But
not
this
really
one, there's just a Jedi. I don't know. It's I'm not gonna argue about it because it's not like super prevalent.
Balance is tough, you know.
I didn't mind
Well,
it.
this movie doesn't balance anything out. This movie.
The sequel.
Well, Rey's kind of like a gray Jedi. She's kind of like in the middle.
So she is the
She's like a
balance
new
then.
Jedi, kind of.
Yeah.
So
she's the new-
she is the balance because she uses dark and light.
right. Ugh.
But that should be Anakin. But anyways.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
know.
Okay.
They kind of touch on it and they don't really go into it because, like, again, like
Last nitpick. It was
I don't know,
cool seeing
yeah.
Leia and Luke in like the Force Ghost Horizon. Give me
Yeah.
the whole thing. Every voice we heard. Show them
well,
all.
Really, like, where the fuck is Ben in that scene?
Why was he so prevalent to Rey and then now he's not?
And then he's just not a Force ghost, even though he is a Force ghost.
There's problems. I get it.
Yeah,
They didn't
there's
have-
problems. That I
yeah.
think that's the best thing we could say about this movie is that there's problems, but I think all of us really, really
It's still fun to watch.
I did. I really liked it.
like.
I
It's
had
definitely
fun.
not boring like parts of Last Jedi.
No, it's not.
Not at
boring.
all.
It'll keep your focus. It's confusing at times, but it'll definitely keep your focus.
Plot's a little convoluted in some
Yeah.
places, but that's
Yeah.
okay. Does anyone have anything?
My God, the emotional impact.
Oh yeah, the emotional impact of this movie again, right up there with me with Revenge.
How
of
do we
Sith.
feel about the
So-
kiss?
Love it. I
Oh,
said it
I hated
the
it.
minute it happened.
I hate it
Fucking
too.
great. Fucking
hated it?
great.
I didn't like it.
They
Why'd
were
you hate
building
it?
to it all series.
Dude, you know they were. Yeah, you know they were.
They were getting down.
They were
Mm,
flirting,
I
bro.
loved
You
it.
know they were flirting in their little force
Give me
combos.
Their little
fucking
dyad.
Poe and Ray. I need Poe and Ray to make some Super Saiyan Jedi babies.
No, dude,
That's
I
what
want a
need.
Poe
Jedi
and
babies.
I want a Poe and
I ship.
Oh
Poe and
yeah, that's
Finn,
what I was
too.
gonna say.
I ship.
Finn
what
and
was her
Poe.
name?
Finn and Poe should be a couple.
Oh, yeah,
They
dude.
should.
I think.
They have
I think
great
they have so much chemistry.
They do. They do.
It's so good.
But it's also like it's a best friend chemistry too. So it's a line.
I don't know, but like, is it though?
I don't know. In Force
I really don't
Awakens,
know.
they look lovingly into each other's eyes at least twice,
Oh, Dan, we do that every day.
and I wanted it. Well, I'm sure there's some people out there that are thinking it.
One quick plug
Um,
to a scene that I love in this movie. How about when Ray fucking pulls the ship out of the air with the force?
Dude,
Oh,
that was
sick.
just
really
stops
good.
the transport ship in midair, and it's a wide angle from the ground, so you have her like looking up at the sky and just ripping a star.
So
a
good.
Talk
transport ship
about
out of the air.
subverting expectations. I did
shit.
not see that coming. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That
Dude,
was
dude,
amazing. I
low-key
remember being
though,
in the
yeah,
theater, and I
when-
was like, dude, she just ripped a ship out of the air. Like,
When
what
she
the
shot lightning out of her hand, I went, "Whoa, that was
I was like,
That was
fucking
awesome.
that's
I was like,
wild.
holy shit! They
That was
went.
I was
there.
like,
It was good.
Last thing I want to
Yeah,
talk
that
about.
made you jump out of your ship. You're like, oh, whoa.
Last talking point I want to say about this movie because we do need to get moving. How do we
Yeah.
feel about her being a Palpatine?
it's fine. It's
I'm
fine.
with
I've
Dave.
gone
I think
back
it's
and forth.
fine.
Like,
It's not
I-
like it's not a revelation, but it's also not a deterrent for me liking it. It's fine.
I accept it because like Palpatine started this whole thing by creating Anakin. So he's the one who created the Skywalker saga, and now it ends with a
Yeah.
Palpatine who created the saga, but then says she's a Skywalker. It's a cool little loop. I didn't hate it.
I
Didn't
think
love it.
they could have done a cool scenario where like Palpatine is in her head, but not actually a real live like he's not actually alive again. They could have done something like
Well,
Sith
he said-
ghosty or
he
something.
said that he
where
would've had
he's,
to
like,
kill
in her
her
head
to
all
do
the
that.
time. Yeah, I guess so.
my
But
thing
did they
with
need
Rey
to
being a
though? They didn't
Palpatine-
need to. They just made those rules up essentially.
Yeah, I mean they made.
They
everything
made all the
in
rules
Star
up
Wars.
though.
No, I know. That's what I'm
Um,
saying. Like, they didn't have to make the rule that he had to kill her. She had to kill
Yeah,
him to take
alright.
on the thing.
Dan,
Like,
what
they
you
could have
gotta
just
say?
done it.
Yeah, it's fine. I get it. Like I get that she can't really be no one because she's way too important and integral to the plot of the movie.
And it's
Always
not
been,
that
it's
trilogy
always
to
been a
begin
family thing too.
Right. Like
I
this is the
agree.
Skywalker
I know where you're coming
saga,
from.
and Palpatine created the Skywalker line, so it's like, or kind of, but
He
he
did.
created Anakin. So
He did.
I mean, Shmi existed before Palpatine. So
I
whatever.
mean, yeah.
Like honestly, I watch it. I'm like, oh yeah, she's Palpatine. Whatever. It's kind of weird thinking about Palpatine getting down and dirty and creating a daughter.
Well,
You know what the
I
missed
think the
opportunity was?
Mandalorian's going to explore this. Like, of course, we didn't know this back then, but I think the Mando will explore what happened there. They're going to fill in
Right.
those great spots.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to highlight. In at least my experience of watching this is like, again, like as bad as some of the prequel movies are and as bad as some of the sequel movies are, like it like watching them all through really got me interested and excited about the story of it all, to where
Yeah.
it never did that in the past. So like again, like with the Mandalorian, with Clone Wars that I need to watch, with Rebels that I need to watch, like it really makes me excited over this storyline to where like at the when I went and saw this in theaters, I was like, oh, she's a Palpatine, boo, like and as much as I'm still kind of like I'm still like, cool, I like it.
Dave, when
You
I get
know?
out there, we are watching Clone Wars.
Well,
That's
he's
totally
got to watch
fine.
it for the pod when we do that.
For sure.
eventually.
But one thing, like, you continue.
Well, I mean that was just it. I think
I had one quick note on that.
Yeah, go, Alex.
I just real quick. I think it was almost necessary to do after the Last Jedi because really, right, like your main bad guy is Snoke at that point, because at this point we've established that Kylo or Ben is conflicted, so he's not your true bad guy in the film. So when Snoke gets killed, it's almost like their hand was forced a little bit. They had to come up with something, and I think this was the best bang for his buck that JJ
Because
could come
of
up
Ryan
with.
Johnson. Sorry.
If Kylo was turning back to the good side, they had to do something. That's what it was.
Yep.
If that was always the plan, then yeah, their hand was forced a bit. That was
or if Kylo was going to turn and Snoke was still alive and Snoke was
then it could have worked.
Right, exactly. But they needed somebody, and I think there was a lot of negativity with their main fan base coming out of Last Jedi, so they needed to do something to generate buzz, and bringing out Palpatine was the way they're going to generate that buzz. And so I didn't hate it. I thought it is kind of weird, like how do you die in Star Wars if you can get thrown down a goddamn exhaust vent of a reactor
chamber? The dark
chamber
side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some would deem unnatural, Alex, of course.
But yeah, to wrap it up, I think their hand was kind of forced, is my thought on it. So.
One thing that I want them, I just want to put this up real quick because I think it was great. One thing that I wanted them to do was when, again, they took episode 8 and they were like, we are recognizing that you're a movie, but we're going to pivot, was when Rey was like, or when Kylo was like, you're a Palpatine, and said something essentially along the lines of like, what I told you back in episode 8 wasn't untrue, kind of thing, of like your parents decided not to be Palpatine, so they were no one. They missed such a great opportunity for Kylo to say, like, after he explained himself, to say from a certain point of view. Am I wrong? Like, why did they do that?
That would have been great.
He was like, so what I told you wasn't wrong from a certain point of view, and you're like, oh, we're a Star Wars thing again. Like, we're back, baby.
Tie in, like, the prequels.
They missed they had such a missed opportunity.
It would have been both Ben characters saying
exactly. It would have been buttoned up like a ribbon, dude. It would have been so good. It would have
been great.
Oh, missed opportunity.
All right, let's do rankings. Because we got to push through. We're like 2.5 hours in. Alex, you go first this time.
I have this at number 7.
And you can give your full list now that we're done.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to make sure I'm doing this right. So I got Rogue One, number 1. Then I got New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. I got Force Awakens 4. 5 would be Empire. 6 would be Solo. I actually really like that. 7 would be Rise. 8 would be Episode 1, Phantom Menace. 9. Oh, I missed Revenge. We're sorry. Revenge was 5, so everything is pushed back. So now I'm on 10. So 10 would be The Last Jedi, and then 11 would be the Clone Wars.
I think everybody should do their full list here too.
Yeah. Okay.
Just the whole thing, even with Solo and Rogue One.
I mean, yeah, we're gonna.
We'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk about those eventually. Okay, Dave, you go.
So okay, mine have adjusted a little bit, but this is again, we haven't done the one-off movies yet, so this could change a little bit, but this is pretty much solid at this point. Number 1, Empire Strikes Back, because of course. Number 2, A New Hope. Number 3, Rogue One. Number 4, Force Awakens. Number 5, Last Jedi. Number 6, Revenge of the Sith. Number 7, Return of the Jedi. Number 8, Rise of Skywalker. 9, Phantom Menace. 10, Solo, asterisk, but 10 Solo.
Needs a rewatch.
And then 11 Attack of the Clones.
Okay. Swanee, what you got?
Yeah, I'm still formulating. You go ahead, Dan.
Okay. 1, Revenge of the Sith. 2, Empire Strikes Back. 3, New Hope. 4, Solo. I love that movie. 5, Force Awakens. 6, Rise of Skywalker. 7, Last Jedi. 8, Rogue One. 9, Phantom. 10, Return, and 11, Attack of the Clones. I need to rewatch Solo and Rogue One, but
for sure.
I
you need
did not
to
like Rogue One as much as everyone else did.
Dan, do me a favor.
And we'll talk about it.
Pod.
Yeah, you had Solo at 10th.
We'll talk about this. Do me a favor though. Watch Rogue One and immediately watch A New Hope. They elevate each other so well.
It's perfect.
All right.
It's
All right.
absolutely
Swanee, what do you got?
insanely fun to watch at that point.
1, Revenge of the Sith. Again, this might change a little bit, but this is just what came to my mind.
Cool.
2, Empire. 3, Rogue One. 4, New Hope. 5, Solo. 5 and 6 is Solo and Force Awakens. Those are kind of interchangeable for me. 7 is Rise. 8 is Phantom. 9 is Return of the Jedi. 10 is Attack of the Clones. 11 is Kicking and Screaming, and 12 is Last Jedi.
Ooh, that. All right. We did it. We did all 3 Star Wars trilogies.
Wow. What a grind, fellas.
This was a grind. Last Jedi took so long. Let's do Drink of the Week.
I'm so proud of us, though.
I just
I'm really happy
fellas,
we did that.
but,
That was really
fun.
That was fun. Swanee, Drink of the Week.
So I did do White Claw in a previous week, but now I'm doing White Claw Raspberry. I did a little change up. I like raspberry flavors, and it's pretty good.
Nice. Dave, what you got?
I did my drink tonight before I got on the podcast because I ran out of them, but I was drinking California Chardonnay from a brand called Pacific Rays, I think. But they were canned wine from Aldi. No, dude, it was canned wine from Aldi.
Canned wine from Aldi.
Bougie, like the least bougie thing you can get. But man, it was delicious.
I bet. Alex, what'd you have?
Little Goose Island IPA, baby. There we are.
Is that your golfing beer?
It's smooth, but it's good. No, I'm a more Michelob Ultra guy on the course.
He's got both.
Oh, nice.
Let's count.
We accept sponsors from either. And I did, instead of Captain and Diet, I had Captain and Coca-Cola Zero this week.
Wow.
Nice.
What a change.
Coca-Cola.
And healthy.
I'm repping the brands
Vanilla
all day long,
Coke is great soda. Sponsor us.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 6 of the KitCast. It was a grind. There were fights to be had. Feelings were hurt, but man, was it fun as hell to record. And honestly, I wouldn't wish to talk about this stuff with any other people. Special thanks to our guest star, Alex, for coming on the pod. Alex, you were great.
Yeah.
Your opinion,
electric in the
I
air.
may not agree with them. I may not agree with your opinions, but they're strong.
Quick plug. Y'all need to do a goddamn Lord of the Rings podcast. Because
it's in the works.
God. We're going to get deep.
I know who we're buying on for that.
Whoa. Oh, I just said that out loud. That did not sound right. Let's edit that out. We will get deep into the Lord of the Rings lore.
We're going to get deep into something.
Man, I'm excited for that Lord of the Rings episode.
That's just going to be a stroke and yoke fest for me.
Jesus Christ. Thank you all for listening. If you've made it through this far, then
good for you.
God, we appreciate you so much because this is going to be a long fucking episode. But yeah, we love doing this. And, we'll be back next week. So anything else to say, David, Swanee, and Alex?
Dave, go ahead.
Aren't you just happy?
Keep it brief.
Aren't you just happy that they're there?
Star Wars?
Oh yeah. Aren't you just happy?
Oh yeah.
We got 11 of them.
I love Star Wars.
We got 11 of them. 15 years ago, we had like 6 of them. Like we're doing all right.
Almost double.
We're doing all right.
My last word is just I appreciate and love you guys. I'm so happy we're doing this. This is so much freaking
Likewise.
fun. It sounds like we battled in there, but God, we all love each other more than we can know. So don't think we're like fighting. And I want to say shout out to my bro for hopping on. Thanks for doing that, dude. That was a lot of fun. And you go ahead and take the floor.
My last thoughts is opposite of Austin. I actually am going to fight Dana and Dave for their views on Last Jedi. Second thought, go Illini. We fucking beat Iowa.
Yeah, go Illini.
Yeah, we did. Secondary drink of the week was Iowa basketball fans' tears.
That's you're damn right it was.
Woo!
Fuck them.
Fuck 'em.
Last thought was, great job on the pod here, boys. This is fantastic. Love it.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you again.
Alex, great guest. You and Jake, our first two, and my favorite two so far.
Top two for sure.
Top two for sure.
For sure.
Thanks, everybody. We have been the KidCast. We're keeping in touch. Make sure you guys keep in touch, too. We're out.
Peace.